thanks for coming, guys. So we hoping for more people, but hopefully you guys will learn something.
Are we still expecting?
No, this is it. Yeah, this is it. We had a couple people that couldn't show, and they asked me to record it. So anyway, so what this is basically designed to do is, you know, I've been making films for 5 years, and I've progressed from this to this, and I want to teach people how to go about making a film with very little money, because that's the biggest obstacle in making movies is money.
Yeah, finances.
You know, because your problem is you're a new filmmaker. Nobody's going to give you money to make a movie because you haven't proven anything that you can make a film.
Yeah.
So I'm going to teach you step by step what I did, the way I did it, to get what I'm doing now. And then, you know, hopefully you guys learn something, and I may discourage you from making a film, or I may inspire you to make a film. Either way. So first off, you know, making a movie, you know, being a producer of a film is, you know, basically on our level, you know, we got the title filmmaker because we're making a film, and you know, on our level, we have to do everything. You know, producing, directing, finding cast, finding locations, finding money, finding crew. Those are finding a script, writing a script, whatever the case may be. Those are all the things that you as a filmmaker have to do. You got to do it all. You know, and then once you build your career, then you can grab a title like I'm a director now, or I'm a producer now, or I'm a cinematographer now, whatever you feel like you want to pursue in the future. So basically how I started, you know, I decided when I was like 35 years old, I decided that I'd always been enamored with film. I love film. My thing is horror movies. I grew up on horror movies, and you know, that's what I chose to make because one, I love them, and two, they sell. You can sell a horror film way better than any other genre. You know, the horror film is kind of, the horror person is like a cult. They're like a cult following, horror fans. So different from any other fan. You know, comedy is very hard to accomplish. One, to find actors without, you know, paying them a whole lot of money to be able to deliver comedy is really hard. That's why Jim Carrey and Seth Rogen and James Franco, that's why those guys make a lot of money, because they can deliver on comedy, and they're in a lot of films. So anyway, I had always wanted to make horror movies, so I started writing a script called Teenage Lobotomy, and it was a horror film, feature, and that was going to be my first movie. Now remember, I never went to film school, I never made a movie, I didn't know what I was doing, so being ambitious as I am, I was like, well yeah, I'm going to do everything myself. I'll shoot it, I'll light it, I'll do everything myself. Silly. So that was going to be my first movie, Teenage Lobotomy. Well, I talked to a couple people that, my cousin knew a guy up in Pennsylvania that had been a filmmaker for a while. And he was like, you know, you should talk to this guy and, you know, get some information from him and ask him questions and stuff. So I called him and was talking to him. I was like, you know, I really want to make a movie, and you know, I'm kind of wanting to do everything myself and stuff. And he was like, before you do anything, make a short film first, just to get acclimated to it and see what's involved and see how you go about things. And you're going to make mistakes, and use that as a learning experience. So I said, all right, cool. So I did that. So I went back to the drawing board and I wrote a short script. And to me, a short, you know, in hindsight, a short film for a beginner should be about 10 minutes to 15, no more than 15 minutes long. But again, Chris, Mr. Ambition, wrote a 40-page script, and which turned out to be a 39-minute film, was my first project. So what I did, first and foremost, if you want to make a movie, the first thing you need to do, very first thing, before you even have a script, anything, is make a production company. So I came up with Reaper Films because I'm a horror production guy. So Reaper Films was like, that's horror, you know, Reapers. So I made a Facebook page, I made a website by myself, I made like a Yahoo website. I'd never made a website my whole life, and it teaches you stuff, it's pretty simple. Made a little website, threw some pictures and stuff on there. But what was funny is I had never made anything before. Actually, I made like I had bought a new camera and I made like a 3-minute movie with my ex-wife's daughter and her friend and my son, just to kind of check out the camera. But other than that, I hadn't done anything. Well, I'm getting, my production company looked so professional. I paid a student like $100 and he made me a really cool logo. He made me a little opening thing for my movies, you know, like the Paramount with the Lady and the Torch, something like that, like a animated logo. So everything looked so professional that I had people emailing me, calling me, saying, hey, I want to be in your next movie, and all this crazy stuff. And I'm just like, I've never done anything. So I thought that was kind of strange. So anyway, so the next step was to bang out a script. I'm no writer. I try my best. I kind of like writing, but it's not my thing. So I banged out this 40-page script called If I Can't Have You. And it was a movie about a high school person, a high school girl that's dating this guy, and her ex-boyfriend starts causing problems, stalks him, and they meet at a party, and they get in a big fight, and the ex-boyfriend ends up dying. He gets killed in the fight. Well, the ex-boyfriend comes back as a ghost, and he's haunting anyone that his girlfriend dates. So she dates somebody, he haunts them and ends up killing that person. So it was a cool story, and it was fun. And so I held a casting call. And the way I did the casting call was I just put an ad on Craigslist. I said, you know, we're casting for this film. This is the gist of it. We're going to be shooting so many days. We shot just on weekends, Saturdays and Sundays. And I had a huge response. Like, I was overwhelmed. I think we had 20 roles to fill. And we had one casting call one day. And my dad owns a real estate office. He let me use his office to have people come in and audition. And I filled every role that day. I mean, we had so many people come out. I think we had like 40 to 50 people audition, and we had like 20 roles. So it was pretty cool. Now, one thing I'm gonna tell you, and I know Mylene's gonna get mad. Do you act?
Yeah, I was
You're an actor? Okay, you guys act, right?
Well,
Right. You guys are gonna hate what I say. But when you're making a movie and you have no money, don't pay anybody. Don't pay your actors. Don't pay your crew. If you are going to pay anybody, I would pay my camera guy and I would pay my sound guy.
yeah.
Those are the two people
What about the editor?
that I would pay. What's that?
Editor? Editor. The person going to edit it.
I didn't hear what you said.
The editor.
Oh, the editor? That's post-production. We'll get into that. I'm talking about like initially getting it going. So again, don't pay anybody.
If you were gonna pay somebody, wouldn't you want to pay what's actually gonna make the movie a good movie versus?
That's your camera guy and your sound guy.
Yep.
Well, not really,
Well, here's
because
the
I
thing,
can
Miley.
shoot.
Well, here's the thing. If you have Meryl Streep acting in your film and it looks and sounds like shit, it's not going to be good.
We're with you.
So my thing with actors is, again, no offense to anybody here.
No, that's fine.
My thing with actors is this town that we live in is an amazing town to get started, get up and going. because there's a ton of ambitious,
Yeah.
new ambitious actors that have taken classes at 4D Studios or wherever, or they've done stage in high school, whatever the case may be, that are eager to be in something. And this is a great town. You're not going to get paid as an actress here unless you're doing commercials or something. We just don't have big budget movies coming in here.
No.
So the thing is you're going to have some young, ambitious actors that want credits. And this is a great place to earn credits. So they can move to LA or Atlanta or New York, wherever the case may be, and bam, I got 10 credits on my IMDb. Okay.
Thank you for that, by the way.
So the thing is, the way that we, the filmmaker, pay back the actors is we feed them well, which I feed my cast well. I don't know about other sets.
I don't have any.
I feed my cast well. I give them that credit because they earned it, and I give them footage. So they will get a raw file of the film
There's
that they
somebody
were
there.
in for me,
For the real.
Not even open?
for their reel.
Should I open?
So here.
You fed me dum-dum, so we're cool.
So, again, you know, those people, again, this is a great town to get credits and get experience on set. And, you know, you're working with a first-time director or a second-time director, you know, there's gonna be a lot of mistakes made. So what I did first is, you're gonna need some kind of money. I mean, you know, my first movie, the way I did it was, this was before Kickstarter and Indiegogo and all that stuff, fundraising sites, whatever. I was thinking, how am I gonna get money for my movie? So I emailed everybody that I know, everybody, family, friends, people I hadn't talked to in 10 years. Emailed everybody. I said, look, I'm starting it. This is my dream, is to make a film. I'm setting up a movie. I need a little bit of money, and anything you can donate would be so appreciated to me. So I got like maybe $200 from just people sending me checks. I'm like, all right, cool, $200. Then I got with my mom and my stepdad, and I said, I want to do like a really nice dinner at a clubhouse. I had a clubhouse in my complex that I lived in. So I rented out the complex, invited everybody I know, and we had my stepdad's sister had all these paintings, and she brought them to auction off, and we had like framed movie posters and stuff to auction off for raffles and stuff. I think I charged like $30 a plate or $25 a plate or something, but we had like chicken masala, we had wild rice, salad, we had sangria, we had a really nice dinner. So all in all, I raised $900. That's what I raised from the dinner, people giving me money or whatever. So that was my budget, $900. So I made, If I Can't Have You, we casted, and I met Sean Donahue. I don't know if you guys know Sean. Sean Donahue emailed me from the casting and said, hey, he goes, I went to film school, I just got laid off from Busch Gardens, I'm on unemployment, I want to make movies, I saw your thing, I'm interested, you know, can we talk? I said, yeah, sure. So he comes and we talk, and I'm like, all right, so now I got somebody that went to film school, probably knows how to use a camera, probably knows a little bit about lighting, knows a little bit about editing, right? So I brought him aboard, and me and Sean hit it off. We get along great. We're still best friends to this day. And we put this thing together, and he knew a guy named James Vale, who's an FX artist. So we're doing a horror movie, so we need some FX, blood or ghost-looking guy or whatever. So he knew a guy that he had worked with at Busch Gardens during Halloween Horror Nights named James Vale. Now James Vale has worked on Predator, Nightmare on Elm Street 4, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, like all these crazy huge movies. This guy I worked on them as an FX person. So we're like, wow, that's amazing. So we bring James on, and James, we meet with him. He's like, I really like you guys. I'm not going to charge you anything. You buy the materials, and I'm not going to charge you nothing. Awesome, we just got a free FX artist. So now I have a free cast, a free FX guy. Sean's working for nothing. I'm not getting anything, obviously. So most of our budget went to food and FX materials. And we bought a couple shop lights. Again, I had bought this new camera. It was a Sony Handycam. It was the first HD, 1080 HD camera that had a hard drive in it. It had a 30 gig hard drive in the camera. So that's what we used to shoot the movie. It's not a cinematic film. It's not a cinematic camera. It's someone to shoot your kids. You know? Yeah. And it looks like that.
Yeah,
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, that we're using RGC. Yeah.
What's that?
Part of the curriculum, so we use.
Yeah.
Same type of
So it
camera.
was a Sony HDR SR1 is what it was called. Anyway, so I was just so excited about this camera. It was a $1,500 camera, which is pretty expensive. So,
Yeah.
So we did all this. We casted. I found locations. My dad is a real estate agent, and he knows everybody in the whole state, in the whole city. So if I need a restaurant or a bar or anything, he can 95% of the time find it for me. And that's the other thing, is use your resources. Like, you know, if you know a lot of people, if your sister runs a funeral home, make a movie in a funeral home. You know, use use what you have at hand. You know, one thing, I've never ever paid for a location, ever. I've always found free ones, or I'll walk into some place and just shoot. You know, I've never gotten permits or anything like that, and I've never had any problems. You know, I've talked to cops, what's going to happen, and they're like, they'll give you a trespass warrant, and that'll be it. You know, you're not going to go to jail. Anyway, so again, I have no idea what I'm doing. Sean's there kind of helping me a little with lighting and stuff. And so we have a cast reading. Everybody comes in, they read the script, we go over the script. And one thing we found, our lead actress was, I don't know if you know the Lingerie Football League. It was like brand new at the time, and we had a team in Tampa, and it's basically girls in lingerie playing football, like tackle football. It's crazy. But she was playing for the Tampa Bay Breeze, which we were like, wow, we got a star, you know, which was ridiculous. But anyway, so we were excited to have her on board. And so anyway, so we had a cast reading. We, you know, I used my dad, my resources to find locations. I think we ended up with like 7 or 8 locations. I used my house, my mom's house, my ex-wife's house. We had a restaurant that my dad eats all the time. They let us shoot there before they opened. We had a school. We used Ben Hill Middle School for the high school, which we just used exteriors. What else do we have? And we used my house. So we had that, you know, 5 or 6 locations. And again, I used my resources. So when I'm writing, I'm like, I know I can get this house, I know I can get a school, I know I can get this, I know I can get that. And that went into my script. So basically, once we did that, we got our locations, everything's pretty much set. Now comes the fun part, scheduling, shoot schedule. We had 20-something actors, and you got to work around everybody's work schedule, school schedules, whatever. So what I did was, instead of everybody sending me their good dates, I said, everybody send me their bad dates. What date can't you shoot on? So all these people, I can't shoot this day, this day, this day. So you got to organize all this stuff. Again, I've never done this before. It was a complete nightmare. Because you only have 2 days a week that you can shoot, and you got to work around all that. So I did my best, made a shoot schedule. We shot for 8 days, I think, 8 weekends, both Saturdays and Sundays. And I'm talking, we were shooting like 12, 15 hours because, again, I didn't know, you know. But luckily we had awesome cast, we had killer crew, and everybody was in. And you know, you need to find people that have that passion. You know, there's camera guys that are new out of school looking for projects, they'll work for free. You know, they somewhat know what they're doing. Again, if you need to pay a DP, a director of photography, I worked with I'm a cinematographer also now, and I worked with 4 new directors last year, and I helped them not make mistakes that I already made. So once we finished shooting over 8 weeks, me and Sean felt like our film was cursed because all these bad things just started happening on our movie. We had a new camera I'd never used before. When I had my camera and my neighbor had the same exact camera. So I used both cameras during the shoot. And when we went to upload the footage, a lot of his file numbers and the file numbers from one camera and camera 2 were the same, and they were conflicting, and we lost about 40 takes, like work vanished. And on the camera, they were thumbnails. You could see the thumbnail, and when you clicked it, it said file can't be found. I called Sony, I took it to Best Buy, it was gone. So we had to do a reshoot. We had to reshoot some stuff. And then I think we had to go with what we had, you know?
The learning experience
yeah,
always
learning
have
experience.
backup or something, right?
So just one thing after another on this movie, people flaking on me, you know, and that's one thing you're gonna get, you know, you hire 20 actors, you're not paying them, some aren't gonna show up. You gotta have a backup plan.
Some of it don't take it as seriously.
Right.
They're not getting paid for it, so.
Exactly. So you always gotta have a backup plan. You know, I always had people on my crew that knew how to act and knew the script, and if this guy bails, I can put this guy in that scene, you know. But usually if they showed up to the first shoot or second shoot, they were gonna show up the whole time. But those first days, I hope he shows up. So once we finished everything, you know, we had all this footage. Me and Sean were going to edit the film. I had Vegas Pro, which is an editing software, which I still use to this day. And what's cool about an editing software is once you have the software, you can learn how to use it through YouTube. How do I blank? And there's some 12-year-old kid that's going to tell you how to do it. So we did that, and me and Sean sat there and we edited it. And I didn't even have a computer, so I had to do it at my sister's house. So we went to my sister's, we would stay there for 5 hours a night, and my sister would throw us out, and we'd get as much done until I got thrown out. You have a question?
Yeah, just before you keep going, Vegas Pro is the most
It's an editing
used
software.
editing software?
Not
Or
really.
maybe-
You know, if you're a Mac, if you use Mac, Final Cut is
Final Cut.
popular. Adobe Premiere is really popular right now, and Sony Vegas Pro is, actually me and Jason both use Sony Vegas Pro.
Is there a particular reason why?
We just like it. I mean, that's just what I've used all this time, and I'm comfortable with it. It does everything I need it to do. It's just something I picked up and started using. I don't know. There's no really reason.
Okay.
So what I did was, I'm like, all right, I got this movie now. All my friends and family are excited to see it. And I don't know where to do it. Where am I going to show my movie? So I had a pretty big backyard. And I have a projector and I have a Bose sound system.
Oh,
So
that's awesome.
I had a drive-in style, bring your own lawn chair, come watch my movie in my backyard.
That's awesome.
I had 100 people show up in my backyard watching my movie that I made for $900.
Because it's really cool to
Oh, it
show
was
it like
amazing.
that. That's
It was
awesome.
so fun. We had such a good time. We had pretzel, you know, soft pretzel. We had hot dogs. We had popcorn machine. You know, refreshments people can buy. So again, I had 100 people in my backyard. I charged everybody $5 to get in, and bring your own chair or blanket or whatever you want to sit on. So again, everybody had a great time. The movie's awful. I mean, it's terrible. But that was my film school. This was my film school. Every mistake I made on this movie, I never made again. So that's what you need to do, is start small and just learn from every mistake you make. So we made, I think we ended up making like another $500-600 that night with the premiere. So I'm like, all right, so now I got $600 to do something else. What do I want to do now? So me and Sean talked about it. You know, we enjoyed working together, and again, we both wanted to keep making stuff. So the end of this movie, we left it open, like the ghost didn't die. The end of the movie, he kills her new boyfriend at the very end, and that's the end of the movie. So we said, well, why don't we do this? You can't do anything with a short movie, so why don't we shoot a second half to I Can't Have You, and now we got a feature film. So we added a few more parts, we had a lot of the same people, we added a few more people, and we continued the story. And the movie ended up being like like an hour and 10 minutes, 12 minutes, something like that. So I used the $600 I had. We got the same crew people, added a few more crew people, and bam, made the second half. We used a lot of the same locations we had the first time. Added a beach scene so we can get girls in bikinis and, you know, just stuff like that. And so again, more cursed movie. I had a girl fall off her bike and break her arm in the middle of production. It wasn't during the movie, but in her time, she broke her arm, so we had to like deal with that. So she didn't have a cast. In this scene, now she has a cast, so we had to like cover it up somehow. And, we had a beach scene with 3 girls, and one of the girls on her way got in a really bad car accident, hit a tree from the interstate, hit a tree. She was in a coma for a week. So we had to figure out.
She was in a coma?
She was in a coma for a week. Like broke her back, broke her pelvis. Like it was bad.
Was she alright?
She's okay now, yeah. But she actually went. We had the first part was in a film festival in Ybor. She came and she was on a wheelchair. She came to the thing, but just had to get around that. You know, our job as a director and a producer is to problem solve. If there were no problems and no issues, we don't even need to be there. This is the thing. You know, everybody knows what they're supposed to do. We problem solve. You know, if something happens, what are we going to do about it? So again, we worked around all our issues and hurdles and problems, and we ended up making the second half. And this is the feature, If I Can't Have You. And what I did this time was like, all right, I got a feature film now. I want to show this in a movie theater. So I had my girlfriend call every movie theater in town. And she's like, yeah, Channel Side wants $900 and AMC wants $1,200. And then she called the Movie Co. Theater in Ybor City. And they wanted $250 to rent their theater on a Saturday night at 8 o'clock. And I'm like,
yeah.
That is amazing. Like, are you kidding me? Like, how is that for real?
$250 for
$250 for a Saturday night at 8 o'clock.
Wow.
So we booked the theater, and we showed our film at the Movie Co. And I had another filmmaker, which actually this person, his name's Rob Craig, and he had a company called Dark Harvest Productions. And he's the one that kind of inspired me to make a film, and kind of a weird way, because I started kind of following him. He was from Kansas, and I started following his stuff. I Googled horror production or something, and I don't even know how I found him, but he popped up, and I started kind of following his stuff. And he had made a movie called Crotch Rot, and it was horrible. Like, it was such a bad movie. Bad acting, bad dialogue, bad everything. It was terrible. And he won an award for Best Short Film at this film festival. And I'm like, what? I'm like, I can do better than that.
Yeah.
I'm like, I can do better than that. And that's kind of what got me going. I'm like, this guy just won an award for that. Like, I can do way better than that. I know I can. So he kind of inspired me. So anyway, so Rob had just made his third movie called Jack in the Box. And it was like 15, 20 minutes short. So I had gotten friendly with Rob, saying, hey man, you inspired me to make films, and I've been kind of following you and stuff. And so happens he moved here, he moved to Clearwater. I didn't even know that. I thought he was from Kansas, but he actually lived in Clearwater. So I said, look man, I'm premiering my movie, and would you like to show yours also? So in my mind, I'm like, all right, I'm gonna get all of my fans and friends and family, but I'm also gonna get his friends and family to come. They're gonna pay to get in to see my movie and his movie. And I'm keeping all the profits. He's happy that he gets to show his movie in a theater. I'm happy that I'm getting paid by all his fans. So win-win for both of us. And we had a huge audience. Like I think we had like 180 to 200 people there that night. Charged $10 to get in. So that paid the theater. I mean, 25 tickets paid the theater, which was easy. So I had, all this other money that I just made now for my premiere. And my goal was to get all that money, throw it into the next movie. So after that, now keep in mind, I've made two films in essence, but one feature. So, I took that money, which I think was about $1,500, $2,000, something like that. Oh, it was like $1,500. And what's funny is I had met a guy at Publix, and he was a writer, and we started talking and stuff. I was a meat guy and he was a seafood guy, and we talked all the time about horror movies and wanting to make movies and stuff. And so I had quit Publix to get into mortgage, and I tracked him down probably actually he was at the premiere in my backyard. So right when I was about to start making films, I had contacted him and we started talking, and he ended up writing the second half of If I Can't Have You. So I wrote it, and then he kind of rewrote it and made it. He was a really, really talented writer. He's really good. So we talked and stuff, and he was living here again, and he came to my premiere, and we started talking about something. And so I said, look, I got this cool idea. At this point, housewives were everywhere. Housewives of Atlanta, Housewives of Jersey Shore, Orange County, Desperate Housewives, everywhere. So I'm like, all right, I want to make a movie about housewives getting killed. Like there's a killer killing housewives. And we're going to call it the Housewives Slasher. So I begged Mike to write it for me. And at this point, I had a little bit of money. I'm like, look, I'll pay you like $100 if you do it. I'll give you $200 if you get it done at this time, like before. I gave him a deadline, a $200 deadline. If it's after that, it's $100. So kind of give him more incentive to write, because he's one of those people you got to kick in the butt. So after that, so I had like $1,500, $1,800, and I used to play a football pool at my job, and it was a big one. Like it was like $20 to get in, and the pots were huge. And I ended up winning it one week. I won $1,200.
Oh, yeah.
So I got more money for my movie. I threw that in the pot. So now I'm up to like $2,500. And I had this new guy. His name's Mike Witzer, and he was a camera guy in school. And Sean met him on a shoot. A student film or something, and said, this guy's pretty talented, why don't we bring him aboard to shoot If I Can't Have You. He shot the second half of If I Can't Have You. So we brought a few more people into the mix for the second half. So Mike had a new camera, a T3i, the Canon T3i, and that was like, he had actually a Canon T2i, which was like the first DSLR camera that people started shooting movies with, because it looked cinematic. Like you get the blurred background, but it's a photography camera. The camera goes for like $1,000, and he owned one. So we're like, all right, we're going to use that camera for the next one. It's going to look like a movie now. So Mike was pretty good. So we get Mike to shoot. He's going to shoot Housewives Slasher. So we did everything the same as the first one. We had a casting call. We put it on Craigslist and Facebook, everywhere I could do it for free. to advertise. Again, we had a huge response to our casting call. Credit, copy of the movie. That's what we give you, and you get fed on set. We had, so this movie, we had 41 actors in this, 41 roles in this movie, okay? And our budget ended up being $3,000. I had a $3,000 budget. And we got 40 people acting for free. And we also had some people that have been in some stuff, like Erin Nicole Klein. She was in a couple movies. Actually, I saw Erin Nicole Klein at a film festival on a movie. And one thing we wanted for Housewives Slashers, we wanted nudity. So I'm watching this short movie and at this film festival, and I knew the budget of the movie was $50. They made this short movie for 50 bucks. And it's these guys in Daytona, $50. It's these guys in Daytona called 386 Films, and look those guys up. They're phenomenal filmmakers.
What's their name?
386, the number's 386 Films. They got a website. They probably got like 7 or 8 shorts on there, and every one of them is just amazing. They're actually doing a feature coming up. This is going to be their first feature, but started following those guys. They made this really cool werewolf movie called Simone. And so, again, my mind's turning. I need nudity for my movie. That's horror, you know. And there's these 2 girls in this movie making out completely nude. And I'm like, all right, there's 2 people that I know will do nudity for free. Right? They didn't get paid nothing because the movie was made for $50.
Yeah.
So I found out who they were, sent emails to both of them. One was Jennifer Ward, she's an actress in Orlando, and then the other was Erin Klein. So Jennifer, I don't think ever emailed me back. Erin Klein did. So I brought Erin in, she auditioned, and right when she left, we had a role named Lacey, was one of the characters. Right when she left, everybody looked at each other and went, Lacey. Like, she was just perfect for what we were looking for. And it was one of those things where this person came in an audition, and she's like, and that was the problem, was we were looking for early 30s type people, because they're housewives, you know?
Yeah,
so it's not a high school crowd, it's a little older people. And it was kind of hard to cast people that age and get them to do it for free. It's kind of hard because most of the ambitious people are younger, just starting out. So it turned into someone would come in and audition. Oh, I know somebody that would want to be in this, and she would message her, and she'd come in and meet us. So we ended up having 3 casting calls and filled all our roles. Again, we had 41 actors, 19 locations for $3 grand. That's pretty crazy. So we were paying Mike Witzer $500 to be our director of photography. We were using his lights, his sound gear, his camera. Like, he was our equipment guy. We were using everything of his. So we're shooting just Saturdays and Sundays, and I think we were going for like 2.5 months of shooting on Saturdays and Sundays. So our first shoot is, Housewives Slashers is a very detective-oriented movie. It's about these girls that they're all married, their husbands are workers, and they stay at home with the kids and whatever. But it turns out they're staying home having sex with the pool boy and the guy down the road. Well, somebody's going around killing them. And the detectives are kind of, like, right at the beginning of the movie, this girl gets killed. She's young, and she was like the babysitter of the neighborhood.
Yeah.
And the detectives are investigating that crime, and it leads them to the housewives start getting murdered. So our first 2 shoots are, we used my dad's office, dolled it up as a police station. I had a guy named Gary Gross who has cop uniforms, like everything you can think of that would be in a police station, he had it.
You had somebody that was a real cop in the movie too.
Yeah, Gary Gross. He's a cop for Lakeland. And he found out about me somehow and said, hey, I got all this cop stuff. And basically what he does is if a cop retires or gets fired or quits or whatever, they have to take their uniforms and they burn them. Well, what Gary does is he takes the uniforms, pulls the patches off, puts new patches, and uses them for movies. So you have authentic police uniforms. Like, it's pretty awesome. And
Yeah.
he has all this stuff to doll up an office and everything. So anyway, so our first 2 shoots are at my dad's office. Saturday and Sunday, we're shooting all the detective stuff that takes place in the cop station. And it was 2 full days of shooting. So we go through the weekend, amazing shots, like we're so happy with what we get. And then we're gearing up for next weekend's shoot, and I get a call from Mike Witzer's mom. And she says, I know Mike's supposed to be shooting a movie this weekend, but he fell off his skateboard and broke his leg in 2 places, and he needs surgery, and he's not gonna be there this weekend. So I'm like, oh my God, you gotta be kidding me. So now remember, Mike's our DP, we're using all of his gear. So I have no gear now. So I postponed the shoot. I tell everybody what's going on. I call Mike midweek of the following. Okay, so I call Mike Wednesday, and he's like, yeah, I'm having a pretty major surgery, and the doctor says I'm not gonna be able to walk for a year. So we're like, wow, what are we gonna do now? We have 40 people sitting there. We have our location sitting there. We have all this money sitting there. And I don't know how to shoot a movie. Sean doesn't know how to shoot a movie. The shot, if I can hide it, is terrible. Like, it looks awful. So I'm like, I gotta find a new DP. I have to. So I put an ad on the Florida Film Network, Craigslist, Facebook, everywhere I can find somebody. I put an ad up. I need a DP that owns a Canon T2i. So I get an email from a guy who says, hey, I saw your ad, I'm from New York, I'm new to the area, I'm interested in your project, whatever. Here's my reel. So, pull up this guy's reel. He's in helicopters, this high off the water, shooting boats. I'm just like,
Yes.
wow, are you kidding me? And now this guy's new here, so he's trying to meet people to get work. So I'm like, I think I can get this guy for cheap.
The right guy.
So I message him back, he calls me, he says, yeah, let's meet up at Brandon Mall. It's all right. So I put my sales shoes on, and I go to Brandon Mall, and we sit at Starbucks for 2 hours. And I'm telling this guy, this Housewife Slasher is gonna be the greatest movie. Like, you don't even know. The script is amazing. We have all these amazing actors. Everybody's 100% in this thing, but we don't have any money. And we need a DP. So
The
he's like,
DP is the
director of photography. He's the camera
Thank
guy.
you.
Yeah.
Actually,
So,
no film.
He says, I own a T3i, which is the next version of the T2i.
Yeah.
So I'm like, oh my God, I think I got a DP. So we left it to where he wanted to read the script and he would get back to me in 2 days. I'm like, cool. So he says, I'll give you I'll make you an offer. I said, all right. So I sent him the script. He called me a couple days later. He goes, this is a really cool script. Like, I'm really into this, and I love your passion and I love your ambition. So he's telling me this. So it turns out this guy, his name's Mike Nietzsche. I don't know if anybody's ever heard of Mike Nietzsche. In New York, he charges $10,000 for a music video. He does all of Latin America's rap music videos. Like, the guys, like, I'm talking like cigarette boats, helicopters, red cameras. You know, that was his thing. He's a red camera operator.
Yeah.
So he was a real deal. So Mike called me back on Tuesday. I love your passion. I love your ambition. I want to shoot your film. And I'm like, all right. I said, hit me. What do you want? He goes, I want $300 and I want 20% of back. I'm like, done.
Wow. Yeah.
Done. So gave us $300, signed a contract, 20% of back end profit, whatever. So following weekend, we're back into production. So I'm psyched at this point. His first shoot was a pretty easy day just to kind of get acclimated, and he was getting amazing shots. So what I'm doing is, at this point, I'm a little freaked out because I don't know how to use a camera. So I'm over Mike's shoulder. Now Mike knew about coverage, like covering a scene to make where you can make it easy to edit. Like you have to have 2 or 3 angles of everything so you can cut it together. So he's teaching me about covering scenes. These are things I don't know anything about. I made a feature and it was awful. So he took me to another level. He took Housewife Slasher to another level. The shots were amazing. They looked really cinematic. Looked like you were watching a movie that you would watch on TV.
It was there for the premiere.
Yeah.
Me and Steve both were.
Yeah. So anyway, so as I'm directing, the way I direct is I have my script, my clipboard, and I'm telling everybody what to do, and I'm taking every note I can about every take because I'm editing the movie. So I'm over. So now, not only am I got my clipboard, I'm watching the viewfinder. What is he doing? Why is he doing it that way? Just learning. So we get through the production. Very few problems after that. Like that was a pretty major catastrophe, losing my DP after 2 shoots. And I got a bunch more. I got 14 more shoots. But again, director, producer, that's our job, problem solve.
Yep. That's
So,
our own philosophy too.
Yeah, I mean, that's the only reason why you're there. So Housewife Slasher's finished. It took me a year to edit that film because we had so many takes, so much coverage. It was very easy to cut together, but it took a long time to go through all the footage, organize it, put it in your timeline. And then, again, with Mike breaking his leg, we had no sound gear. So we were trying to figure out what we were going to do with sound, because I wanted to have good sound, because if I can't have you have bad sound. And a lot of filmmakers skimp on sound because they don't think it's important, but it is so important. So we bought an on-camera Rode on-camera microphone, and I'm not gonna say the sound was great. It's not terrible, but it's not great. So I found online a guy that does sound. He's a sound engineer, and I gave him my footage, and I gave him like 5%. I'm like, if you clean up my footage, I'll give you 5% of the film's profits. So he's like, cool. So he cleaned it up as much as he could. Jason Henney! Look at this guy.
What's going on, man?
Hey.
Yes. Everybody knows Jason, right?
Yeah.
This guy, oh, what are we stretching? Giving hugs? Hey, look at that.
It was interesting because I found out that how
Back from a shoot.
audio was.
It's funny because we're talking about audio.
Should I bring in some gear?
I know. Jason is probably the best sound guy in the area.
Cool.
If you ever need sound, he's your guy.
I'm also.
Yes, bring it.
Should I bring in some equipment and talk more
If you
about
want.
specifics?
I'm also realizing too that also being in a band that a lot of aspects are very similar to filmmaking.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Well, that's what this guy does. This guy I found, he does music. He's a music engineer.
Yeah.
Well, anyway, he cleaned up my sound a little bit. Got some hissing out and some bad stuff. And he also scored the movie for me. He put the music in. I'm like, wow, that's awesome. Because If I Can't Hear You has all music from website, like a free music website.
Oh yeah.
Which is funny because I hear those songs in a ton of indie movies. Like I've seen movies on Netflix that are using those songs. His name's Kevin MacLeod. It's called Incomtech.
I think
is the name of the
I've heard
website.
that name.
And his thing is you can use, and I mean he's got a whole library of songs and score music, anything you can think of is on there. But his only thing is, you can use my music for your movies, just you got to give me credit. And
Oh, absolutely.
so yeah, no problem. So yeah, so if I can have you have all of that.
It's
all,
at a public domain.
yeah, it's public domain.
Yeah.
It's a free site. So anyway, so this guy scored. So we had an original score, which was cool. So it took me a year to edit that film, and so happy. I was so happy with the movie. It's got everything. It's got nudity. It's got a really cool story. It's got a really cool story. It's got some really cool kills. You know, we got a girl in the tub getting killed. We got, you know, cool stuff in it. We had some really good performances. I was really happy with our actors.
Can we see your movies on your website? Or
No,
you have to buy them.
you gotta buy them. Yeah.
Duh.
I don't
Like
show
buying
anything
an
for
album.
free. I
Cool.
don't show anything for free.
Sounds like a stripper.
Yeah, right. So anyway, so Housewife is finished, and I rent the movie co out again, and we have a premiere.
So the movie always charges $250 for their.
We'll get to that.
Oh.
So this time they charged me $300. I'm like, still, that's an amazing deal. Are you kidding me? So I rent the movie co out.
That's the one in Uber, right?
Yeah, I have a premiere, and we filled the house. 208. Like, people were sitting in the aisles to watch this movie because we had a really cool trailer, and the Housewives were huge at the time, so we had a lot of interest. And we ended up having 3 showings of that movie. We had the first one in Ybor with like 285 people. The second one we got like almost 100 people, and then we showed it again at the Tampa Picture Show, and we got like 45 people there too. So
I think we were at this.
all in all, we made probably made like $3,200. So I made my whole budget back.
That's awesome.
My whole budget was back in showing the movie in a premiere. So that was pretty cool. So we were really excited about that movie, and so Sean, my partner Sean, he helped me with the film again, and his dad works for a distribution company, and what he is he's the middleman between the company that buys your film. Say Paramount buys your film, his company's Alliance. Alliance buys copies from them, sells them to Best Buy, Kmart, Target.
So this
he's
is
the
the
middleman.
part. This is the part where I ask because I have no idea what that is. Can you explain that better?
What?
Like what?
The
Yeah.
distributor? Okay, so when you have a finished film, okay, so I got Housewives Slasher. I am looking for someone to either buy my movie or license my movie, okay? The differences are, if someone buys my film, say Lionsgate comes up to me and says, we want to buy your film Housewives Slasher. I can sell them the movie, and they give me 20 grand, 50 grand, whatever the case may be. They make me an offer. They say, we want to buy your film. I take that money, I give them my movie. That's not my movie anymore.
It's almost like being on the
Lionsgate
label.
now owns my content. My movie that I made is now Lionsgate. I have no rights to it. I don't have anything to do with it. They paid me, and I'm done. And then
That
they
would be
take the
that
film.
would be selling your movie.
That's selling my movie.
Okay.
And
It's
then they
basically-
take my movie, and they make a trailer. They put the trailer on other Lionsgate movies for DVDs. They put it on wherever, advertise it. They advertise it. They make the movie. They advertise. They're probably going to change the cover, do all kinds of stuff to it, whatever they want to do to it now. And then they're going to sell it to the world, and then they make all the money, or I make nothing, because I made either flat fee, you know. Then you can license your movie, and what that means is you can use my movie that I made. You advertise it for me, you make copies of it for me, you sell it for me, and then you cut me a percentage of your profit. Okay? The problem with that is very few people on our level make any money through a distribution company because they're huge and they know what they're doing, and they're not movie people, they're salespeople. It just happens to be that what they're selling is movies. They're selling DVDs. They don't make movies, they sell the movies. So their job is to make as much money for Lionsgate as possible. And their job is also to give me as little as possible. Where my job is to cover my ass and make sure that I don't get ripped off by Lionsgate. So it's tricky, and it's really hard, because I know a lot of people that, for instance, there's a movie called Beware, and I met, the director's name was Jason Daly, and I met him at the Real Terror Film Festival, and we talked, and it was cool meeting him because his movie, he made for $100,000, and his movie got picked up by a distributor. It was on Showtime. It played on Halloween at 11 o'clock on Showtime. It's a pretty big deal. So the movie did really well for him. He didn't make a dime because the distribution company screwed him over. He didn't get a good deal. He got a bad deal. So lessons, he's teaching me, look for this in your contract, look for that in your contract. There's just a lot of things you need to look for to be careful with your distribution deal.
Are you wheeling and dealing this yourself, or do you have like an agent?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When we're making $3,000 movie, we do everything ourselves.
Right.
So again, so I had Sean, who's Sean's dad. Again, is the middle guy between Lionsgate and Best Buy. Okay, so they funnel their movie through Sean's dad, and he sells it to Best Buy. So that's a pretty good connection to have. So Sean's dad met with us. He said, "Hey," I said, "Look, we got Housewife Slasher. We're really happy with it. We think it's got a market, and we think we can make some money on it." So he was, and Sean at the time, you know, again, this took me a year to edit this film, and at the time, Sean was in the middle of making a movie called Joe Vampire, and he was like in,
I saw the trailer.
yeah, like he was in production filming that with Mike Nietzsche, who shot Housewife Slasher. So Mike was on board as co-director, shooting it, co-producer, or whatever, and they had their deal. So anyway, so Sean's dad comes up with this. There's a company called Echo Bridge, and if you go to Walmart and you look in the $5 bin, and you pull out a movie with $5 and there's 3 movies on it, and you look on the back, Echo Bridge Entertainment. They're huge. They have their own shelf at
What are they called?
Echo Bridge Entertainment.
Echo Bridge Entertainment.
Yeah. So just go to Walmart. Next time you're at Walmart, go in the $5 bin and find a movie that's got 2 or 3 movies on it, on one DVD, and look at the back. It'll say Echo Bridge Entertainment at the bottom.
It's just like that.
So they're a pretty big deal. And Sean's dad's like, you guys can sell a ton of movies through this company because they're dying for content. They want that low budget, cheesy, you know, movie that they can sell for $5 and sell like 1 million of them. So, so the deal we had with Echo Bridge was Housewife Slasher and Joe Vampire. They were buying them both under one deal. So we're like, oh my God, we got a distribution deal. So we're so excited at this point. Well, Joe Vampire ended up going into post-production hell. Like it's still, to this day, now this is 2012. To this day, Joe Vampire is still in post-production nightmare. They've had 2 editors, 3 editors. Mike Nietzsche and Sean Donahue had a falling out. They hate each other. Mike's trying to release the movie himself. Sean's trying to release the movie himself. And the problem is they were 50-50 partners. Don't ever, if it's your movie, go 50-50. Make it 51-49 if you have to, because that gives somebody majority control of the movie. So they're 50-50, so they can't do anything without the other person's consent at this point, which has caused a complete nightmare. So here I am with Housewife Slasher waiting for Joe Vampire to finish so our movie can get out to the world. And again, we're banking on Housewives. So my window is closing because Housewives aren't being as popular anymore after 2 years now. So I'm like, Sean, man, I don't know what to do, man. Like, I need to get this film out. So what I did with Housewife Slasher is I put it on Amazon.com, and it's free. You just upload your film. Actually, you got to send a copy of the DVD. Actually, I think you can upload it now. But at the time, you had to send a copy of the DVD to them with a synopsis. You register it on Amazon. They get the DVD. They put it on their website, and someone can go and rent the movie for $3.99, or they can buy it for $9.99. Now there was no DVD involved, it was just uploading the movie. So I put it on there and it got approved and it's on Amazon. And the cool thing with Amazon is I wasn't even advertising the movie and people were finding it. People were finding it and renting it. And I was making probably 80 to 100 bucks a month, not even doing anything, I was just sitting there. And at this point I had already made my money back with my premiere, so everything past that was money in my pocket. So I'm waiting for this Echo Bridge deal to go. And so I got to a point where I'm like, I can't wait anymore. So I found a whole bunch online of distribution companies that specialize in horror, low budget horror, and I emailed every one of them. I had a screener through YouTube. Here's my movie, here's the synopsis, here's what I paid, you know, let me know if you're interested. And one company called me, emailed me back. It was called Wild Eye Releasing. And they were like, we're interested in your film. We'll give you 40%, which is pretty good. Most distribution deals are going to be like 20% or under. So they're offering 40%. And I'm like, that's pretty cool. So, and they were the only one that had interest in it. So I'm like, all right, let's do it. So I signed the deal with Wild Eye Releasing. And it just got released last October in the stores. And I got the copy. So the thing is with that movie, it's you know, they changed the cover, they changed the trailer, they changed all that stuff. I'm not real happy with the cover, but whatever. It's out and it's making something.
Actually, the cover looks pretty good.
Yeah, but it looks like a woman is killing people, and that's not the movie. It's a
Oh,
guy
you mean false representation?
It's a guy killing women, and I don't know. I emailed him, I said, hey man, I'm like, this isn't really portraying the movie, and he's like, it'll sell.
No,
I'm
I
like,
get that.
He said, it'll sell, trust me. I'm like, all right, cool, sell the movie, whatever. So anyway, so again, the movie just got released in October. I have not received a paycheck yet. I'm supposed to be getting one actually in February. So I'm like curious to see how much I make, because if I don't end up making $80 to $100 a month, I'm gonna be pretty mad because I was already making that on Amazon myself.
Yeah.
So remains to be seen what happened with that movie, which leads us to the next thing. After that, actually ended up meeting Jason, going into production on my next movie called Rough Cut. I met a guy, I was working at Winn-Dixie at the time, and I met a guy named Jeremy Westgate there, and Jeremy was a pretty interesting guy, and real high energy, like all over the place, crazy, ADD to the max, smoking, drinking monsters, like just crazy. And he had a pretty creative mind, like he was really out there. So I was telling him, actually I told Mike Lees, I said, I want my next movie to be about a serial killer. Not about people getting killed by a serial killer, but I want it about the killer, like what he does in his everyday life, you know how he stalks his victims. Like that's
Kind of like Henry, a portrait of a serial killer.
Yeah, kind of like that. I wanted to be about the killer.
That's
So
true.
I wrote about 40. I had my dad was trying to sell a church, and it had a radio station inside the church. So I'm like, dude, that's awesome. So I'm gonna have a radio show, a psychiatrist radio show, and a killer calls in the show, and he's like, I'm killing somebody at this time, blah, blah, blah. You gotta figure out where I'm gonna be. So he ends up killing people, calling a radio show, and it's kind of a cat and mouse game between the radio host and the killer.
That's pretty cool.
So, yeah, so I wrote like 40 pages of it. I called Mike Lees, who wrote Housewives Slasher. I'm like, hey, I want you to write this movie. Here's 40 pages of it to get an idea of what I'm going for. So Mike starts writing it. He's really into it. He starts writing it. He's sending me pages, and I'm like, this is the Housewives Slasher Part 2. Like, it's the same stuff, like totally not what I wanted. So he finishes the script, and I'm just like, this is no good, man. Like, this isn't what I want. And I was like, we might as well change the detectives' names to Kent and whatever, which is the Housewife Slasher, and just bring the same people in.
Yeah.
So at the time I'm talking with Jeremy, I'm like, yeah, I'm looking to make this new movie, and I want it to be about a serial killer, and the guy that wrote Housewife is, you know, writing it, and it's not really what I'm wanting. And so he's like, let me think about it. I said, all right. So the next day he comes and he's like, dude, I got an idea that is gonna blow your mind. I'm like, okay. So he's like, we get a guy, and he's a filmmaker, and he wants to make a movie. He's in the middle of making a horror movie, and he loses his budget. Like, the people that invested money pull the money from him, and he has no money left, but he wants to make his film. So he ends up abducting his people, like random people. He just abducts them and tortures them and kills them on, and he films it to make a movie. So he's really killing people, and he's putting it in a movie to sell the movie. So we go into Rough Cut, and we bring in a marketing guy and all this crazy stuff, and this guy's blowing smoke, saying, yeah, I'm gonna get you 1 million followers, and we're gonna raise this much money, and my goal was 10 grand. I'm like, I wanna raise $10,000. This will be the biggest budget I've ever had, and we can make a really cool movie with that much money. So again, went in, we casted it, we got a crew together, we got everybody together, and we raised no money. Like I think our Kickstarter raised like $50. So we're like, dude, what's up with this marketing guy, man? Like, he's not good. You know? So we're at a point now where we have everything in place, ready to roll, but we have no money. So me and Jeremy reached in our pockets and we pulled out money, and that we didn't have. I mean, we were both going through tough times, and we were planning on shooting the film 12 straight days. And what was cool about it was we had one main guy, and everybody else was like a 1, maybe 2 day roll. So we could schedule 12 days in a row. All we had to do was worry about our lead. So I ended up paying our lead actor $400, and that's the first actor I ever paid. I never paid anybody else. And the reason why I paid him was because he took off work for 2 straight weeks, and I felt like I needed to compensate the guy because he was in every minute of the film. But what was cool was everybody else just needed to get 1 day off to come shoot their scene, and they're done. So we reached in our pockets. Jeremy had just bought a T3i. We were shooting with that camera. He had just bought a T3i. We had a sound guy that we found. Turned out to be not the greatest sound guy in the world. We think he was on set more for the girls than anything. But anyway, so we go into production on Rough Cut. We shoot 12 straight days, and I want to tell you, it was brutal. I mean, we had no crew. It was me, Jeremy, the sound guy, and his girlfriend and my girlfriend. Every once in a while, we're on set helping out. We had a person here and there come out and help. But for the most part, it was me and Jeremy every minute of that shoot. And I've never been that tired in my life. Like, we would shoot till 4 a.m. and then 9 a.m. the next day we're back shooting. And we ended up shooting that movie for about $1,200. So we shot a feature film with 45 actors, like 15 locations for $1,200. And I think it was all food. We brought an FX artist in that worked for free. She brought her own materials in for free. Just sweat and tears and passion, man. And to this day, that movie is just, it's in hell. The movie's like 2 hours and 10 minutes long. I need another set of eyes to look at it, to trim it down. I think it has potential to be good, but there's just a lot of problems with it. So that was probably, I ended up having a premiere with it at the Movie Co, and it was a kind of a weak showing. I think we had like maybe 120 people there, which was the lowest showing I've ever had. So it was pretty disappointing, that film, because we worked really hard on that movie, and a lot of people, we had some pretty good performances and stuff, and it's just got a lot of problems. So anyway, but the good thing is made all the money back at the premiere for it. I didn't lose anything, but it's still sitting there, hopefully going to be released someday. And since then, there's been 2 other movies. One's called Pieces of Talent, and I also saw a trailer for one called Cut yesterday. That's basically the same movie. It's a guy that's killing people on camera to make a film. So we had our idea first, and there's 2 kind of copycats. And
I was gonna say, when you brought up the one Cut, that sounded really familiar, because I saw a trailer.
I just watched the trailer yesterday.
Yeah, I saw it a few weeks ago.
So we feel like we had something, and we kind of let it slip between our fingers. And I don't know, Jeremy started doing other projects, and I got involved in other stuff, and it just kind of fell through the cracks. It was just sitting there. So, and the lead actor's kind of like, hey man, is Rough Cut ever going to be released? I don't know. I don't know. So that, to this point, that's my failure. I mean, everybody's gonna have a failure. That's my failure. And it bothers me every day that it's sitting there not finished and waiting. So what was cool though is the first day of Rough Cut, I had this cool idea to do, there's something called Ustream, and it's like a live streaming feed. Like you can go on the website and see people's webcams. Like you log into their thing and you can see their webcam. So I got this cool idea. I'm like, all right, the first day of shooting, there's nothing really going to give anything away about the movie. I'm going to have a live feed from the set, like, so people can watch us on set making a movie. So I'm like, oh, that's kind of a cool idea. So we bust out the webcam and we go on Ustream, and this guy happens to find it and watch it. I don't know why or how.
I don't know either.
But
I could have been maybe the only person watching.
Yeah, well, I think we had about 30 to 40 people that were logged in watching it. Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah.
So, so again, we didn't have a sound guy that day, so we were using the same microphone that we use on Housewives Slasher. And he emailed me and he's like, hey man, I saw your feed and I noticed you didn't have any sound gear. I have a bunch of sound gear. Well, at this point, I'm like, we're knee deep in production. We used the Rode on the last one. We're just gonna use it this time. So I'm like, yeah, we got 12 straight days of shooting. Everything was just like crazy time. And I just really didn't have time to meet with him and talk to him and stuff. So turns out actually that night, this guy came on as a PA and he ended up having sound gear. And he's like, you know, I do sound too. I'm like, no shit. Well, come on and do sound for us. So he was there probably 85% of the time. And he did okay. We'll leave it at that. So, you know, so after Rough Cut's finished and everything, you know, I meet Jason and we start talking about film and stuff, and at this point, I'm starting to build kind of a name for myself in the indie place because I'm making movies with very, very little money. And I got a movie picked up, had a really cool trailer on one of them. I made another one, you know, so I'm kind of getting a name for the guy that gets things done because I'm getting stuff done with no money. So this guy from LA, I saw his movie on Housewives Slasher got accepted to the Fright Night Film Festival in Kentucky. And I saw this guy's movie called Hate Crime on there. So I'm like, this kind of looks pretty cool. So I emailed him. I said, hey man, I'm Chris Lato from Tampa. You know, I saw your movies on Fright Night. That's cool, whatever. And we just started talking back and forth. And I sent him the trailer for Housewives Slasher, and he's like, wow, looks like you had about 100 grand on that movie. I'm like, we had 3 grand. He's like, whoa, really? I'm like, yeah. I mean, Housewives Slasher, we got boats, we're out in the ocean, we got hotel rooms, like, we got all this crazy stuff. Like, we got a lot of production value in that movie. Lots of locations, pretty girls, nudity, gore. I mean, we got the whole package. So he's like, I like your style. He goes, listen, I'm putting together an anthology of funny, silly, gory movies. You know, you want to be a part of it? I'm like, heck yeah. So I ended up looking this guy up, and his dad was the writer of Animaniacs and Pinky and the Brain. don't know if you know, there's cartoons.
Yeah.
So this kid's like 19 years old, and he's made like 4 features already, right? So the guy's been in Hollywood. He's grown up in Hollywood. He knows this is what he wants to do, is make movies. So his name's James Bressick. So anyway, so he asked me to be a part of this anthology, which I'm like, dude, an LA guy's asking me to do a movie for his thing. Like, holy crap. I'm like, this is an amazing opportunity. So I told Jason and Jeremy, so I told Jeremy, I'm like, I got an idea. Let's make a movie about a woman that when she has her period, she turns into a demon and kills her man. So Jeremy took it another level, and he's like, let's name it Aunt Flo. And we had all these menstrual cycle jokes through the whole movie. Like there's like 30 of them. And it's a short, I mean, it's like, how long is it? Like 10, 15 minutes? Yeah, it's like 10, 15 minutes long. So I asked Jason, I said, hey, you know, do you want to run sound on this for us? And so we could kind of work together a little bit. It's a short and it'd be kind of cool start off project for us. So he came out, ran sound for us, and
We did it in 2 days.
yeah, we shot it in 2 days. Me and Jeremy did it, and that movie turned out to be a nightmare too, because I had casted a girl for the lead, and she was all excited about it, and she kept like a day before shooting kept canceling. So it was a weird role. Like it was a pretty weird role. So I don't know if she wasn't comfortable with the role or what, but you know, she's telling me like twice she canceled on me. And the last time I said, well, let me know when you're ready, because we're waiting on you now. And you know, James gave me a deadline to have the film done. So I'm emailing James, dude, I'm sorry, I need, you know, maybe another couple weeks, blah, 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 kind of get more time. So he's like, yeah, don't worry about it, cool. So never heard from the girl, so I said, screw it, I went and found somebody else. And so we found her and this other guy, and we had the cast and crew, and we shot over 2 days and finished it, and it's called My Anna's Coming to Town. And so we sent the movie off to him, and I think it got picked up by Troma, so kind of cool. So then me and Jason started doing things together, doing some shorts, and you know, we really built a pretty good working relationship, and I think, I mean, we're good friends too now.
Not go that far.
We're not that good of friends, but
No, we talk pretty much every day.
daily. I mean, we
Like
share on Facebook.
on Facebook, we talk throughout the whole day about things, and that's kind of been the way it's been for the last year or two.
Year and a half.
Yeah.
So we started doing some things, and then Sean says, you know, well at this point, oh, I don't tell you the best part about Rough Cut. So Mike Nietzsche is supposed to shoot Rough Cut. He's the guy that shot Housewives Slasher, bailed me out, taught me a lot. Well, he's supposed to shoot Rough Cut for me, and literally like 3 days before shooting, he says, I got bad news. I'm like, what? He goes, I got called to Fashion Week in New York, and it is a big deal. Like, I'm getting paid a lot of money. And I'm like, don't let me stand in your way, because I'm not paying you very much at all. So go ahead. Well, at this point, I had bought a T3i. I bought my own camera just to have it, so I don't get into the same situation I do with Housewife, where I have no camera now. So I bought the camera, and I asked Mike, I'm like, look, just show me the basics of the camera, settings and stuff, and I'll shoot it myself. Because I kind of picked up some stuff from him. So he was like, cool. So Jeremy had just bought a T3i, so we ended up both shooting that film. Like, we were shooting at the same time. Like, he's shooting a wide, I'm shooting a close, which is a disaster. Don't ever do that.
No.
Like, it's a nightmare. And then trying to piece everything is,
So you have to shoot with the same camera.
yeah, I mean, it's got to look the same.
Right.
So each camera's got little differences to it, that different looks. You know, some cameras you can kind of get away with it, but you'd like to have the same camera if you're shooting with 2 cameras. But don't ever do it. Just use one, because it's hard, and post-production is rough. So Mike showed me the settings, and we got some pretty cool shots in that movie. I mean, for being my first time ever shooting anything, I think I did a pretty decent job with it. And Jeremy too, like we got some really cool shots in that movie. But what that did was it led me to love camera. Like I love shooting now. And so me and Jason started doing some shorts, and the reason why we were doing shorts was I wanted to learn camera more and get better. So I started shooting all the stuff we were doing. And you know, he bought a Blackmagic camera. We ended up using that a lot. So then Sean calls me. He's like, "Hey, I got an idea for the next feature. I want to do a sorority slasher movie." That sounds fun.
Yeah.
Do it, you know. So he's like, "I'm going to raise the money for it, and we're going to shoot whenever it was, May, or I think it was May of 2013, and I'm going to shoot it. I want to shoot it." All right, cool. So we'll co-direct it. You shoot it, and so we casted for it, found locations. We found this really cool sorority house, look-in place in 54 Newport Richey. Like the outside looks like a sorority house. It's got like group letters on it and everything. So we use that for exteriors. We use my house for interiors. You know, found places all over the place. So that movie had, I want to say like 47 people in it, 13 locations, so we went through the whole process again, like we normally do. I pretty much do everything. He finds the money. I end up shooting it, which I had a hard time with some things, but I think overall it looks okay. It's my second movie I ever shot, so I see problems now that I know more. I'm like, I should have did that different or that different. But anyway, what it did was it helped me become a camera guy. Like I do that for a living now. I'm a cinematographer for a living. And I'm not rich, but I do okay. I pay my bills, and I seem to get gigs all the time now, so
Yeah.
I must be doing something right. I don't know. But actually, Jason works a lot with me, running sound for me, and we use all his equipment, and he's got a lot of nice stuff. And so the thing, I get the gig, he gets some money, brings his gear, and we keep doing what we love to do. So it's pretty cool. So we do Die Delta Pi, same formula. Like that formula that I started from the very first thing I ever did, like that's our formula for every movie we've done. We cast the same, we spend the same amount of money. Die Delta Pi had $7,000. That was our biggest budget. And we're like, what are we going to do with all this money? Like we didn't know what to do with it. So we flew in 2 Scream Queen actresses, one from Maryland and one from Texas. We flew them in, put them in a hotel, and paid for them to be there. And I mean, that's a whole nother story that I'm not going to get into, but it was kind of cool to be able to do that. You know, we have a recognizable name now in the horror world. We had a couple of recognizable people in it.
What's the formula that you say you use?
This whole thing I've been telling you.
Oh,
How we raise money, you know, how we cast,
is it the three things that you...
No.
Oh. Because he was talking about that
the
earlier.
formula about putting everything, all the pieces
so everything you were talking
to make
about.
the film. You know, scheduling, location scouting, all that stuff. We pretty much do the same with every film. And it's been successful for us, so you know, why change it if it's not broken? So we've been doing it, getting it done. I'm not going to say our movies are Oscar-nominated movies or anything like that. They're not that great, but we're getting them done, and we're getting credits, and we're building towards something. Each film that we've done has been better and better. I don't think we've made a movie that was worse than the last one. So, Die Delta Pi was the name of the movie, and it's kind of done pretty well for us. There's a pretty big market for that kind of movie, and we got a really cool cover. We got a cool name. We deliver on the 3 elements of a horror movie, which are
boobs, blood, and a cool killer.
Thank you. And it's been pretty good for us. We've sold about 250 copies by ourselves, and we're selling them for like $15 each. And we've sold them to France, Germany, Australia, Spain, Belgium, like crazy places. And we haven't even really marketed it. We post it on Facebook every once in a while. I mean, that's really it. We were in Gorezone magazine, which is Fangoria is the biggest horror publication in the world.
Oh yeah, that and Brew More.
And Gorezone is their sister magazine. And we had an article about our movie in Gorezone magazine. Like, that was a dream come true for me because I grew up reading Fangoria magazine. So to see my name in it was just like, oh my God, this is crazy, right? So we're going through Sean's dad for that distribution deal that I was telling you about. So basically, they're taking our film, we're cutting out Lionsgate, we're cutting them out, the distribution company. We're giving it directly to Alliance, we're paying for the copies to be made ourselves, and then his dad is selling them to all the major outlets in the country. So it's supposed to be released soon, like any day now. His dad's waiting for something, I don't know what it is, but anyway, so this is the film right here. Bad Identify is going to be in stores soon. So it can be done, you know? You can make a movie with very little money and get a distribution deal where his dad guarantees we're going to sell about 10,000 copies at least of that film.
The artwork is very 80s
it's amazing.
inspired.
Yeah, that's what we were going for. Some of the movie takes place in the 80s, so that was the look we wanted. That's the look we liked.
The trailer for it.
People are going crazy for it. I mean, we've had probably 25 reviews from critics, and we just got our worst review this morning, and it was 4 out of 10 stars. Before that, everybody was giving it like 6, 7 stars. I don't get it personally. I don't think it's that great, but it's got those 3 elements, Mylene, and people are going nuts for it. So anyway, it can be done, and you know, just follow that formula. Don't pay your actors, don't pay your crew. If you're gonna pay anybody on your crew, pay for DP and sound. Like, those are the 2 main things that you need. And again, I've skimped on sound in most of my movies, and after meeting this guy and realizing what sound does for your movie, I'll never skimp on it ever again. Like, it's so important. And especially me being a camera guy and a director, you know, you're just like a sound guy, whatever. But it's really important. Like,
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
and you know, the thing is, you know, like I said, start off with a short film. I mean, you guys have already made stuff, so.
Well, we're going backwards.
This is more for these.
Yeah.
Started
So
full length and then it's backwards.
make a short, you know. You can find a sound guy and a DP for probably $100 a day. So if you shoot
I'm not
5 or
trying to
6
make
days,
movies. Learn.
if you shoot 5 or 6
Really?
days, you could probably spend, you know, $500 to $700 and get good camera, good sound. You know, like I said, find a student that's just out of school, that's got gear, got a camera, got a sound gear, whatever. They'll work for you for nothing, usually. And if you got to pay their gas money or whatever, cool. $20 a day or whatever for gas. But those are the two main elements. But you know, like I said, cast. I mean, don't get mad at me again, but actors are a dime a dozen in this area that will work for nothing. And you'll get some pretty decent performances. Like I said, Housewives Slasher's got some pretty good acting in it. I mean, there's some questionable acting because you have so many people in it, but the main group wasn't bad. They were pretty good. And some of the best actors I've ever worked with had never acted in their whole life. And you're just like, wow, pretty
Some
good.
people
you
just
know?
have a natural.
Yeah, some people just have a natural thing and
I'm
do
just
it.
good at shooting yes.
Yeah.
Black and white.
Hustling. Yeah.
Exactly. So what I would tell you guys is learn everything. Learn how to do camera, learn how to direct, learn how to put a movie together, what goes into it, what goes into making a shooting schedule, how do you break down a script, how do you send this actor sides, you know, just learn all that stuff. Open up a script writing program, Final Draft or Celtics, and learn how to use it, figure it out. And because that's going to make your scripts look more professional if you decide to write them. You know, play around with sound. I'm kind of learning sound from him. I don't like it, but I know that it's something I need to learn.
Yes.
So I watch Jason, where he puts the mic and how close he gets, and you know, his settings that he puts on his mixer and stuff like that. So slowly starting to learn it a little bit, even though I'm kind of resisting a little because I don't like it. And but learn how to edit, learn how to do everything, because then you don't have to rely on anybody. You can do the whole thing yourself. You know, that's where I learned when I lost my camera guy and we're getting ready to shoot. I'm sunk now. But luckily I bought a camera, and I mean, you can get a Canon T3i for probably 300 bucks now online on eBay for a used one, $300. So I now have a T3i and a T2i. I have two of them, and they're really great starter cameras. Like really great starter cameras, you know. And they're cheap and they look good. You know?
Oh yeah. Yeah, we have the 2.3i.
Yeah. So, really good. But I don't know, that's my story.
That's where you end it? What about exciting things that are happening recently?
Yeah, I forgot about the future. So Delta Pi is doing, again, really well for us. Me and Jason did a bunch of shorts that actually you guys helped out on a couple of them. I was in one of them about phobias. They're little 10, 15-minute movies about phobias that we're putting on one DVD. There's 5 of them, and we're going to try to get distribution for that. And now I'm at a point where I think people are kind of taking me serious a little. Me and Jason have a movie called Crazy Lake that we're shooting in April. We're going to co-direct it, and we have people giving us $40,000 for that movie. And we found a doctor that has $500,000 in sound and camera gear, sound gear, lighting, everything that he's going to let us use for the film. So that's a pretty nice budget compared to the $3,000 and $7,000 budgets I've had. And we have actually people that are doing stuff, like we have a guy doing the budget, we have a guy doing the script supervising, we have a guy finding locations, and it's crazy. So me and Jason pretty much have to cast it and walk on set and direct it, which is nice. Because I'm at a point, you know, I've done all of that. I've done scheduling and shoot schedules and breaking scripts down and just all that stuff. And I'm not gonna say I don't like doing it, because I kind of do. But I was telling Jason that I'm having a hard time letting go of that, having someone else do it for me. It's hard, but it's necessary to move on to bigger things. So we're looking to shoot that in April. Gonna be a pretty cool movie, cool script, and got some really good talent and some really cool crew people gonna be involved. And then I also have a deal for a movie called The Ritual that's in, a guy in LA has been pitching since May, and we're looking at maybe a $4 to $10 million budget on that one. So I'm like keeping my fingers crossed on that one. So from where I started 5 years ago to now, it's like, it's pretty
night and day.
Awesome. But the thing with making movies is it's a lot of work, like a lot of work. Like you don't even know how much goes into it, especially when you only have $3,000 and you can't pay people to do your budgets for you and everything else. Most of my movies, I cook the meals on set myself. I know the producer and directors also cook for the craft services, but you do what you got to do when you have no money, and you just got to find passionate people that are willing to work for nothing or work for very little to collaborate with you. And
Work for the love of art.
I got to tell you
Not
what,
for nothing.
you know, since I met him, he's got some pretty nice gear. He's got great sound gear. He's got, he owns a Red camera now, the Blackmagic camera. So it's nice to have him on my team, because now we put those short films together. The movie you were in, I think we made that movie for 25 bucks. And that was the material for the box and food. That was it. It's crazy, right?
Yeah.
We made a movie for $25. And it's not bad. It's pretty decent.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
And then
It's a really nice short.
so of all those short movies we made last year, I think the most we spent was like 125 bucks, and that was the clown movie because we had to buy a clown costume. And so we made 4 movies for probably about $250 total. That's pretty unbelievable.
And
So
they look,
and
because they shot with Blackmagic,
yeah,
and
they look great. They sound great. We actually had some.
I mean, people, because the hardest part of making a movie is getting the money to make the movie. And so $40,000 is crazy for us.
That's a lot of money.
Right. It came about, the whole idea for Crazy Lake came about at a party for this movie called 10 Seconds to Run that I wrote, and he was gonna be involved. Yeah, and they had a party. They tried to get their funding on Kickstarter. I told them they couldn't make the movie unless they had $50,000. So they got a marketing guy, and they did a Kickstarter, and the Kickstarter raised 22,000. But unfortunately, since it was Kickstarter, they got nothing at the end because they didn't hit their goal of $50,000, which really was depressing because $20,000
It's a lot.
is a lot of money to like.
To raise,
Yeah, that's like
I said, my Kickstarter we raised $50.
right.
So
That's like 6 or 7 Housewives slashes.
yeah.
So they still had like a barbecue with like cast that they gotten together, and that was cool. They wanted to just kind of keep people's spirits up, I guess, and say, well, we're still working on it. But Chris and I were talking at that party and said, you know, we should try and do a movie that's cheaper to do.
Well, Brian, the producer of 10 Seconds to Run, came up to me. He's like, you know, we should collaborate on something. I'm like, all right. And knowing me, I know she knows me, you guys know me, he knows me. If someone says, let's do something, well, let's do it. And I'm not screwing around. I'm going to do it. And, you know, there's people in this town that are, I'm going to make a movie, and then there's people that are, I am making a movie, and I made a movie. I'm the guy that says, I made a movie. And there's a bunch of people that say, I'm gonna make a movie, and they never do it. Because either they don't know how, they're scared. They're scared the movie's gonna suck, which it is. Your first movie is going to suck. Once you get that in your head, you're good, because it's gonna suck. But you gotta learn from it. Learn from your mistakes, learn what to do, learn what not to do, you know, get your own thing going, you know, that you can use. Like I said, I got my little formula that I've been doing for 4 years, and it's worked for me so far. You know, this is my 5th feature that we're doing in April. So I made 4 feature films for 3, 7, 8, 10, about $12,000. I made 4 features for 12 grand. That's crazy. 2 of them are gonna be in stores. So as long as you can learn from your mistakes and get better with each movie, then you're good. But people are afraid that they're gonna make a movie that's gonna be bad. Which yeah, it is, because you know what you're doing. So unless you surround yourself with people that have been doing it for a long time, it's gonna be bad because you don't have any money. You're gonna have to get students or people, your friends to act in it, or your friends to move lights around, or whatever the case may be. But you need to make movies, build your credits, you know, keep getting better so people will trust you and trust you with their funds. They're giving us $40,000 that
So
we have to pay back. So these people have confidence in us that we're not going to lose their money. And it's a lot of pressure. But I feel like I'm ready. I know Jason feels like he's ready. I know we got amazing people around us, and you know. So anyway, so Brian, who was the producer of 10 Seconds to Run, approached me, and he's like, "Let's collaborate on something." And I'm like, "All right, cool, let's do it." So he's like, "Well, why don't we make a movie for, you know, like $3 grand?" And I've done that before, so I'm like, "All right, cool, let's do it." So I'm like, you know what I've been thinking? I said I wanted to make like a cabin by a lake movie, and one location, hot girls, cool killer, whatever, one location. That's easy, because I'm used to making 19 locations and 40 actors for $3 grand. Now I'm one. I'm like, this is gonna be awesome. So after a while, Jason was in the middle of something he couldn't write, so I'm like, I'll start writing it. We couldn't find anybody to write it, so I'm like, I'll start writing it, and then I'll give it to Jason. He can doll it up. So I sat there, I banged out a script in what, 30 days maybe, and sent it to him. It probably wasn't very good, but whatever popped in my head, I just put it on paper, gave it to him because he's a good writer, and he kind of basically destroyed it and added his own stuff in it. He kept a couple things that I put in. But anyway, which is fine with me because it got done. That's all I care about, is if someone does it, it gets done. So through the process, Brian, who wanted to collaborate with me, said I'm on him because he was going to raise the money. $3 grand. He was gonna raise it, and then we were gonna.
'Cause he
he was
wants to
gonna
be a
do
producer.
sound. I was gonna
Yeah.
direct it, and his brother was gonna shoot it, and we were gonna split 4 ways. Well, Brian ended up dropping out because he was like too busy with 10 Seconds to Run, trying to get that together, and then his brother dropped out, and so me and Jason were like, less money to split
Seconds
with.
to Run kind of like your project then?
It's kind
I own the rights
he
to it.
wrote it for them, but it's kind of in this weird place now,
Right. Because now that I know that I can get money to make a movie,
and right, he wants it back.
I want it back. And yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Because
I just,
I mean, I heard, obviously not my place to like talk about it, but I heard like random things about like Crazy Lake and like not to be involved or something like that. But anyway, so I just wanted to know like,
Told you not to be involved with
Who
Crazy
said
Lake?
well, that's like irrelevant. I guess my question was
It's not
like,
irrelevant.
what happened? My question is what really happened like
What really happened with what?
with like that, like is the project like yours or like,
For 10 Seconds to Run?
yeah.
I mean, it's registered under my name for the WGA, which is the Writers Guild of America, and the title is registered under my name. So legally, it's mine. Like, yeah, if they want to do something with it, they should ask me because I wrote the script for it and I own the rights to it.
Right.
I think they have a contract with me, but the contract stipulates that when we pay you, we own the rights to it, and they never did, and I never have to accept any money. So technically, yeah, if they made something like a web series they want to make now, I could tell them they can't.
So, because you said they're similar, the movies, so they're gonna be.
No, they're not similar.
Oh, you
Crazy
said,
Lake
you
and
said
10 Seconds
it came
to Run?
from, oh, you said it came from an idea of that.
It came from, we just happened to be
we
at
were
the party,
At the party.
Oh,
for
okay.
that movie.
Oh, but they're
Yeah.
nothing like alike.
No, they're two
Oh.
totally
No,
different.
and they're both
okay.
my scripts
Yeah,
anyway.
you wrote both of them.
So they could be, but they're not.
Okay.
So anyway, so Brian was supposed to raise the money. I was writing the script, and we were supposed to split it in 4 ways. They ended up leaving the project, which is fine. So me and Jason were like, less people to split the money with. So we continued. Jason ended up finishing the script, and it's awesome. Like it's really funny. We're calling it American Pie meets Friday the 13th. Like it's got a lot of sexy comedy, cool killer, you know, lots of cool scenes. It's going to be a fun movie.
American Pie was hilarious.
So again, we started with $3 grand, which is what we were going to put into this movie, and then we started talking, and we were like, well, let's try to get a Kickstarter going, and we'll raise like $7 grand. So like, okay, make a pretty good movie with $7 grand.
Which we can stretch out because
Yeah.
we rent the cabin, we have the food, and
Yeah, we have all the gear we need. We pretty much have everything to make a movie.
Right.
So then this guy that we shot a film for in Sarasota, he's a producer in the area, and he started kind of showing interest. He was like, hey, you know, what's going on with, or tell me about Crazy Lake. So I'm like, it's a slasher movie, it's gonna be fun, blah, blah, blah. And he's like, I said, why, are you interested? And he goes, well, why would I be interested? What would make me interested in it? I go, hopefully making money. And he's like, well, I like money. So Jason's got a pretty good relationship with him, and so I'm like, I think he wants to invest in this movie. So they started talking, and he was like on board to put in money. So now we're like, well, maybe we should do it for like, I think we were at like 13 grand.
yeah,
and
we
then
wanted
were
like
gonna do
13
a
to 15
Kickstarter.
because we really wanted to try and get Brandon Hyde,
Yeah,
who's
we
a
wanted
friend
to
of
get a
mine
good
that's a
DP and
good
stuff.
DP and somebody that I love working with. And since I own a Red, I was like, we'll shoot it on my Red, and this guy's great with Red.
Right.
If we can get him at a cheap price, let's see if we can get 15,000. Because the movie, Chris shot a movie and I did sound on a movie called Stratosphere for this producer last year, and the budget on that was $200,000. So,
Not good.
and yeah, is this on camera?
Yeah, it's
No,
on
no, no.
camera. So
We won't say anything about that, but so we said if he's spending $200,000 on something that we don't think will make money, we know this movie
What
will
we're
make
asking
money.
for is like, here, how much you need, like take your wallet out, you know?
Right.
So,
So when you guys have one location and everything like the same that you were gonna do with $3,000 and you raise the budget, how do you distribute it to make the movie like
Better?
seem more
well, now
quality?
we can pay cast. we can. Now, here's the thing, I don't. It's not that I don't want to pay cast.
No, I don't.
I don't think they deserve it.
I don't know if I explain
It's-
myself. I guess my question is like, how do you use the money to like make the movie better versus before when you only had like 3
We're gonna
or
have
7?
better lights, better lighting people,
Oh, really?
better camera people, better cameras, better
So basically,
sound
you can
people,
get
like,
more people
you can get
involved
more
than-
people.
Professional people.
You can get
like,
more
you know how he's
professional.
talking about bring your friends or whatever? Like, now we can bring the best
These are people
in
that
the
do
area.
lighting for a living.
They're still our friends, but like, they're people who wouldn't come out for
Right.
free.
So that makes the movie that much better.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Basically,
This movie is gonna look like we spent a couple $1 million on it. It's gonna look
basically
that good.
building your own empire.
Exactly. So, and you know, like I said, I've been doing this for 5 years, and along the way, I've met people that have just kind of came into my life, and I feel like they came into my life for a reason. And you know, I feel like Mike Witzer, who was my DP, and he was okay. He was a student. He was young, and he hadn't been around like Mike Nietzsche has. Broke his leg, and Mike Nietzsche fell into my life and taught me camera, and which is now what I do for a living. So it's weird to me how things have just kind of fallen into place for me over the years. And now I met Jason, who is a really talented guy, and we just work really well together, and he has a lot of skills. He believes in me to get things done, you know, and
So
it's
Chris,
just
when
kind of happening, you know. So it's not one thing that I'm gonna tell you. Surround yourself with people that know way more than you do. I always do that. I've never had people on my crew that I know more than. Everybody knows more than me because I learn from them and it makes me better.
It's the old
So-
expression, you learn from people that are better than you.
Exactly. I'm not like being here talking to you guys. I'm not learning anything, but I'm hopefully teaching you guys something that you can use to be better at what you do. You know, so that's how I view it. Is you know, this director of photography to work with Brandon Hyde because I want to know how to use a red camera because that's going to make me worth more. And Brandon Hyde is probably the best in the area with red, and he's going to be my DP on my next shoot. So I'm going to try to learn as much from Brandon Hyde as possible.
talking about learning, and because you mentioned that you started, you didn't know camera work.
Anything.
So when you started, how did you start? I mean, you wanted to do something, you were just directing, or?
When I first started, I just wanted to be a director. I didn't want to be anything else.
But without knowing anything,
I
you
just
realized
did it.
that you had
I
to.
learned from reading books. I had 2 books that really helped me get started. I had a book called Writing Screenplays That Sell, and it's old. I mean, I bought that book like probably in the 90s and read it. And I started writing scripts in the late 90s, and you know, again, I'm not a good writer, but I'm good at writing my thoughts down on paper and then giving it to someone else to make it good. You know,
Revise.
add dialogue. You know, I can give you the elements that I want in it, or something that I want in it, and then you know, people like him and Michael Lees can really jazz it up and make it good. I lost my train of thought.
Second book.
You were saying books to read to
So,
read.
writing screenplays that sell. Basically, what that book taught me was how to format a screenplay, and I read a ton of screenplays. Like, I would go to the Barnes & Noble and buy them. Some of my favorite movies, Clerks, Pulp Fiction, you know, 2 great writers, Kevin Smith and Quentin Tarantino, probably the 2 best writers around. And I bought all their scripts.
There's
that I could
also-
find and read them, looked how they were formatted. You know, what does INT mean? What does EXT mean? Like,
What does it mean?
it means interior or exterior.
Oh, the.
Cut to, fade out. I mean, just
I knew
all those things
get
that you need to
scripts.
know
I
to
know
make a
that.
script. You know, you just pick it up and you start writing. The other book was The Filmmaker's Handbook to the Digital Age, because this is the part which it's pretty awesome right now because Kevin Smith made Clerks for $25,000, and today he could have probably made that movie for $500. He had, I'm guaranteed most of that money went to film stock because it's so expensive. Because he had to shoot it on a film camera. That's why it's black and white. Because he didn't know how to color. So, you know, however he could, the cheapest way to make that movie possible is what he did. And 25 grand was probably the bare bones minimum that you can make a movie for back then. And that was what, 94, he made Clerks, and he won all these awards because he's a great writer, and it was a great script. It was funny, he had funny characters, you know, and he just did it. And now he's making movies for millions of dollars. But those two books really taught me things. But most of the reason how I got started was I was naive. I didn't know any better. So I'm just like, let's try this. Let's put an ad on Craigslist for actors. Maybe somebody will respond. And I'm getting like 5, 10 emails every 10 minutes, like flooding my email box. It was crazy. And I'm having to email everybody back. Well, here's the script, be there at this time, and I didn't know any better. I didn't know how many people were gonna respond. Now, if I put an ad on Craigslist, I know exactly how many people are gonna respond and how to email them back, what to send them, where to go, and all that. But it's just learning, and you know, a lot of me getting started was just being naive and thinking I'm gonna do everything myself, and I did. And it's just kind of what I do now, I just do everything myself. As far as pre-production, obviously you need other people to help you. But trial and error, just try things and see if it works. I do that with camera now. I'll try some weird shot. If it doesn't work, it doesn't cost me anything. It costs me a few minutes of time, you know. And sometimes it looks really cool and you're like, whoa, that's awesome, you know. So it's just constantly trying different things until you can get your little thing going, your formula going for success. And sometimes you fail, sometimes you got a rough cut, and sometimes you got Die Delta Pi. And sometimes you get Crazy Lake, or The Ritual, which is coming. I mean, there's just a lot of things on the horizon for me that, you know, I've worked really hard to get these opportunities that I have now, because I do things. I'm not the guy that's, oh, I'll make a movie one day, you know. Brian Jalbert said, let's make a movie. I said, okay, let's do it. And bam, here we are, $40,000 and $500,000 in sound gear, or camera gear, and ready to make a movie. That started off with this little tiny thing. It's just grown into this crazy thing now. And it's scary because I've never had to pay any money back. I've never lost money on a movie. So it's kind of scary for me. But
I don't know, they're not gonna come after you.
You gotta grow, and this is what I want to do for my life. So you gotta take risks. Remember, no risk, no reward. No reward. Exactly. So you gotta take risks.
No, but nothing's been written about people that take no risks. That's for sure.
Exactly. Yeah, Wayne Gretzky has the greatest quote of all time. You know who Wayne Gretzky is, right? Hockey player, greatest hockey player ever. He says, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take.
That's true.
100% of them. You will not make a goal if you do not shoot it. So just keep shooting. It's going to go in eventually, you know? So that's going on, and I don't know, lots of fun stuff. But, you know, one thing I want to tell you guys is filmmaking is, again, it's a lot of work. It's a huge dedication. It consumes your life. For when you're in production, you have no life. I know myself.
You have the best life. Are you kidding me?
That's not that
You're
great.
making a movie.
That's not that great.
This is sad.
Personally, I'm gonna tell you, myself and I know 2 other people that have got divorced over filmmaking. Oh, there's another one, 4. I lost my wife because this is what I wanted to do for my
Because you don't
life.
have enough time.
That's exactly why
It was that. Well, that was part of it, and she didn't realize, like when I first told her, hey, I want to make a movie, she was on board 100%. But then she saw what goes into a movie, how much time it takes, all the dedication, going here, going there, meetings, kissing people's ass, babysit. Like when you're a director, you are a babysitter. So you got to babysit. You know, you're not babysitting a little 7-year-old. You're babysitting 40 adults, and that is a pain in the ass because they're unreliable. They will screw you over. If they get a better deal somewhere else, guess what they're going to do? They're going to bail on you. So you got to babysit 40 people. You got to make sure these people are where they're supposed to be at this time, and if they're not, better have a backup plan,
Yeah.
or you're gonna have 20 people on set waiting for somebody that never shows up. So it's just a lot of planning. But yeah, once my wife realized what was happening and what was going into it, she hit the road.
And plus you gotta
Like I gave her an
wear,
ultimatum. I'm
Yeah,
like, this
we're-
is what I want to do with my life. Can you support me? And she said no. And I said, well,
There's a lot
I
of
guess we're done.
sacrifice.
well,
It's a
you
huge
gotta
sacrifice.
wear the riding prop pants and talk to the horn.
Yeah,
That gets annoying for most people.
it's true. So it's a big responsibility. It's a big duty. It's, you know, you have all these people live, like Mylene Morera is acting in one of my movies, and they're gonna see her on the screen, not me. So I gotta do my best to make sure she looks great, she does her job the best she can. It's a big responsibility, and now you gotta do that with a bunch of people, you know? So it's hard. And worry about the technical stuff, like camera angles and making sure the sound guy's getting his stuff right, and make sure the lighting's right. You know, there's a lot of stuff to think about. But you know, these guys, I asked these guys to come down because they've made, they just finished their second movie, which was a short. Their first movie was a feature, which is very ambitious.
Yeah.
Their first movie to be a feature film, and you guys didn't know what the hell you were doing, right?
No,
But
I just kind of
just grabbed the camera, figured out kind of what you wanted to do, and you did it.
That played a role in why me and my ex-girlfriend split up, because it took a lot of time, you know, to do the film.
Yeah, I know other people. This guy Stephen Carpenter, first-time director, just got divorced because he wants to make movies, and she wasn't on board with it. You know, he's an artist. He paints and does all kinds of stuff, and that's his thing. That's his passion. And he still has a daytime job, but that's his passion that he wants to do in his free time. And you know, I started off as a weekend filmmaker. You know, I had a full-time job, working 50 hours a week, and then on weekends I would do my movie. But what was cool was my job was I was a mortgage broker, so I had a lot of downtime and a computer in front of my face all day. So I was able to do a lot of stuff from work to prepare for the research. You know, I could do casting calls, return emails. I could do all that stuff while I was at work.
Yeah.
So it was pretty cool. But yeah, I just quit my job last March to do this full time.
Good
Not
job.
rich, but
Doesn't matter.
our bills are getting paid and we're doing it.
That's all that it really boils down to.
Yeah. So, anything to add?
Yeah. I want to talk a little bit more about how we got money for the movie, because we kind of stopped at 15,000.
Yeah.
And
And then we just sidetracked.
yeah, so we approached the producer. You know, I kind of, even when I was on set, when I was doing sound on a movie with Chris, the Stratosphere movie that had $200,000, I knew that the hardest part of filmmaking was getting money to make a film.
Oh, yeah.
And I've just seen that's the biggest struggle. So I knew this was a good person to know and a good person to get in with. And I knew that he gets pitched all day, all night, because he's a producer and people know that he's a producer. So people are coming in with ideas. People are coming to me to go to him, like, hey, can you connect me with this guy because I have this awesome idea for a movie. And I always wanted to come from a point where I want to build a relationship with this person. And so I'm not one of those people asking for money for a movie, that I'm like a colleague, you know, that he trusts and he wants to invest in me, you know. So that's how that came about. And then so we got him to come to the callbacks for the casting. And I also invited this guy Todd, who owns the Red camera, the Red Epic Dragon cameras and a bunch of other stuff. He owns a production company called Digital Caviar that has an office in Ybor. And I invited him because I knew there's a couple car scenes in the movie, and he has like mounts for cars. I was like, man, that'd be so awesome if he let us use those mounts for the cars. So I'd like him to come and, like, you know, see what we're doing, so that maybe he'll let me use the mounts for the car. So after we had our callbacks, which you were at, we all kind of sat and talked about the actors, but then we talked about the production, and we talked about how much we wanted to spend on the movie, and we were like, yeah, we're thinking like 50 on. You wanted the Wachowskis brothers, who shot, you were in their movie.
Oh, Brian Jalbert and...
Nope. Alex and Dennis.
Oh yeah, they're amazing.
Right?
They're great.
And
they're great.
And you know Todd from that project.
Yeah.
Right? And you know all of his equipment. He was like, I'd love to have these lighting guys on, but
they're really good.
2,500 a piece, which is a lot, but that's still way cheap because they shoot weddings for $10,000 a pop, and
they're very professional.
And they own a grip truck for lighting.
And that's how money.
And a trailer.
That's what I'm saying.
I mean, they have
that's what a grip truck is.
Oh,
yeah.
okay, I didn't know.
And that's how
it
money
expands.
makes your movie better, by getting people like that.
Got it.
Because you should technically rent a grip truck for your film, which is several $1,000s, because you want to have all those lights on there. But here are some guys that are coming onto the project that own a grip truck full of lights.
That's awesome.
So we're like, yeah, we'd like them involved. So what he sent back to us was a budget for $50,000.
Yeah, we're like, that's a lot of money that we have to pay back eventually.
Right. So we're
like, we don't want that money. Like, we're the only filmmakers in the whole world that turn down money. We don't want it.
Yeah. So we negotiated down to like, I crunched the numbers of like, can we go without this? Can we go without this? And I crunched it down to 35, and then they came back again, and right now it's sitting at 42, and we don't want to go higher than 42. But on top of the 42, we're going to run a Kickstarter afterwards. I had each investor agree to $17,500 because that was a number I thought was solid and nice. So together they put in 35 grand, and that's what we need to pay back. Then I decided I was going to run a Kickstarter, which was originally for post-production, but post-production is going to be cheaper because we have a lot of people helping out. But still, the budget's at $42,000, so we're doing a Kickstarter for $7,000, and we're using the marketing guy who did 10 Seconds to Run that I mentioned that they raised 22, right? And they didn't have the luxury of having a trailer and all this great stuff to help promote it. So I'm pretty confident that we can get
$7 grand.
Well, not $7 grand, like 20, you know, because it's a more marketable film than 10 Seconds to Run because it's selling a lot more on the hot girl aspect, which helps sell the film.
What are the 3 elements?
Yeah.
Boobs, blood, and a cool killer.
Yeah, all 3 are in there. So my goal is after that 7,000, all the principal leads and the crew that's coming on for super cheap, I'm going to split that all between them. So hopefully it's like another 1,000 for each of them, which makes me feel better. Because like we were saying, we want to pay actors. We want to pay as much as we can. And we're paying actors a little bit on the movie, but not as much as we'd like to. Right. So in total, the budget will probably be a little over 50, probably 55. But we only have to pay back 35. Yeah, which is really good.
So basically figuring out all the stuff that goes behind in a budget and all that is all like trial and error, right? Like, you know, having to crunch the numbers and stuff, like doing all these movies over and over again.
How much stuff costs. I mean,
yeah,
you know,
good people. I mean,
good people cost a lot of money.
We are so lucky because Brandon Hyde is a good friend of mine. He's agreeing to shoot the film, and we're shooting it in 2 weeks for $2,000, which is really, really cheap because that's less than $200 a day, right? Which he makes upwards of $650, $800. But
Brandon likes us. Brandon wants to shoot more features. And
yeah,
this is an opportunity for him. You know.
Another random question about movies: SAG contract versus non-SAG, or either SAG ultra low, whatever. Because I've heard of the SAG new media or whatever.
Is anything 200,000 or under. But what comes along with that? Because we were going to go SAG with Crazy Lake. Because we wanted to spend money on a couple name talent for the opening of the film, which would be just a one-day shoot. But if we got some name actors, we know that would help sell the movie. Right. So with that, they're SAG actors, and you can't have them in the movie unless your project is SAG. Because one of the actors we were talking to said she did one once, and she almost got kicked out of the union for doing it because you're not allowed to. So we were going to be forced.
If people find out.
Yeah. People are going to find out.
They usually do. If it's a pretty big name, I mean, she'll get found out.
Yeah.
So,
Us, we would use her name like mad crazy to promote our movie.
Right.
yeah.
You know, and so yeah. that's
So
interesting.
that was going to cost us more, and it was going to put a lot more regulations on us in terms of you can only shoot 8 hours, and if you shoot more than 8 hours, you have to pay your actors a certain amount more.
And overtime.
Right, and you can still pay your actors. You have to pay your actors at least $100 a day, and you can make that deferred so that you pay your actors later, like after the movie makes money, which is fine. But I've never been a big fan of that. I like with the paying them what we're going to pay them, and then the Kickstarter. I feel good about that because I don't want them waiting on like
Stuff,
and as an
And then you
actor.
gotta worry about figuring out how much you gotta pay everybody once you start getting money coming in.
Yeah. There's a lot more regulations and contracts and
I'd
accounting.
rather pay everybody up front, be done with them.
Right.
So
and I'll
basically-
take the percentage on the back.
Yeah.
You know,
It makes it a pain in the butt because of the regulations. And
Right. And nothing against SAG. Obviously, we'll probably be, I mean, The Ritual will probably be a SAG project and we'll work on SAG projects, but if we don't have to, we're not going to do it. And so what had happened,
it's just gonna cost more.
It just makes it more expensive.
right. Let me say what happened with the name Talent,
Oh, yeah.
because this is kind of funny. Just to give you an idea of costs.
Well, I mean, here's a precursor to that. I have this movie called The Ritual, and we were supposed to shoot it last May, and we had funding. Apparently, I don't know if it was real or not. And we were 2 weeks from shooting. I had locations in Sarasota, cast, everything ready to go, and our funding fell through, so we had no money now. So I had to postpone everything. I called an agent to help me find money for the movie, and he's currently doing that. Anyway, so when I was reading the script, this one role, Sean Patrick Flannery kept popping in my head. You know who that is?
I do.
Sean Patrick Flannery. He was in
Boondocks.
Powder, Jersey Powder.
No.
Did you see
Boondocks.
Dexter?
Yes.
Watch Dexter. You know, the very last season, he was the detective that Deb was working for. The guy who got stabbed in the
Oh
leg.
yeah, that guy?
Sean Patrick Flannery.
Yeah.
So he kept popping in my head for this role, and I'm like, I gotta get this guy. So I emailed his agent. I found out who his agent was by some crazy luck. I emailed his agent, and his agent calls me like 3 minutes later on the phone,
Seriously?
and I'm like, what?
Okay.
That's weird. So I'm talking to him. So he was going to be in the movie. He accepted the role, and he was going to be in the movie for 14 shooting days for $40,000. Okay, so we're like, we got to name Talent now, where people know who he is for the most part. He's one of those people that you're like, you know who that is? And they're like, you know, you see Boondock Saints? Oh yeah. He's not the guy in Walking Dead, is the other guy.
And,
oh yeah, okay, I know who you're talking about.
Young Indiana Jones.
Yeah, he was in that. He was in Powder, which was a pretty big movie in the 90s. So anyway, so I'm getting from, so keep that in mind, 14 days for 40 grand.
That's $1,000.
So for Crazy Lake, we're thinking, for the opening scene, there's these two people, they're camping, and they end up getting killed at the campsite. So it's a one-day shoot, one shooting day. So we're thinking, it would be cool to get Danielle Harris, who was the little girl in Halloween 4,
Jamie.
and Alex Vincent, who was the little kid in Child's Play.
That's awesome.
So you
Yeah.
got
The two
two
of them
horror
together.
icons
I love
that were
that.
children, grown up now, in a scene together. We're like,
Yeah.
That would
dude,
be
that's an
great
amazing
marketing.
Horror,
Freaking
like horror
genius
people
marketing
would go
idea.
crazy for that.
Yeah.
So
oh my god.
I
And they
find-
are some really big fan
Yeah.
horror.
So
We would love to see that
It's
from
like
Child's
the
Play and
All-Star
Halloween mixed
Jam,
together.
but with for horror films.
Right.
instead.
So we got these two horror people will go nuts for that opening scene, right? So we're like, I know we can get Alex Vincent pretty cheap because
Yeah.
he lives here, and I know he was in House Guest, which had like a $3,000 budget. So I know we can get him pretty cheap. So I'm like, Danielle Harris, she's not that big of a name, man. Like, she's been in a couple things here and there over the years, but everybody knows her as a little kid from Halloween, which was forever.
I think the only other big thing she did was The Last Boy Scout. which
Yeah, she was
Tony
in
Scott
See No
directed.
Evil 2, which just came out. Like, that's the biggest thing she's done in a long time. So,
Oh yeah.
anyway, so I'm telling Jason, I'm like, he's like, let's try to get him for like 10 grand. I'm like, I guarantee you I can get Danielle Harris and Alex Vincent for under 3 grand.
What?
And I'll get them by the end of the week. I will
told
have
me
them
that,
on
yeah.
board. ready to roll for under $3,000. And he's like,
Ballsy.
okay. So I emailed Danielle Harris directly. Like I find her on IMDb Pro, I email her directly. She emails me back. I says, oh, the project sounds good. Is it SAG? So I'm like, it's not, it's a non-union film. She's like, well, I can't be in a non-union film because I'm SAG. I almost got kicked out of it, whatever. So I go back to them with that info, and Todd is like, let's go SAG. I'm like, okay, let's go SAG. So I email her back. I'm like, you know, we're gonna go union just so we can get you. We really want you in the movie. And I go, what's your rate? Your daily rate? She goes, well, my rate is $75,000 a week. And I'm like, did she add another zero in there? Or is this an error? She says, call my manager. I'm like, all right. So she gives me her manager. I call him up. Yeah, my name's so-and-so. We're making a movie called Crazy Lake. We really want Danielle Harris to be in it. You know, we need her for one day role. And he goes, well, you'll have to pay her for her day of going there, her day shooting, and her day coming home. And we want first-class airfare and a 5-star hotel. Now, I don't know if you've ever been to Brooksville, but there's no 5-star hotels in Brooksville.
That's where she lives.
Maybe
No, that's where we're
that's
shooting.
where
Oh,
we're
that's
shooting.
where you're shooting.
So there's maybe a 1.5-star hotel. It's probably the best you're gonna get in Brooksville. So anyway, so he, long story short, I talk him down to $15,000 for one day of shooting. $15,000
For one day.
for one day for this person that's not even that well known. Like, you don't know who that is, do you?
No,
Know who Danielle
I have
Harris
no
is?
idea who that is.
No, exactly.
You only have to.
Horror people know who she is.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm
That's
like,
a lot of money, though.
how about I go, how about some back end percentage? No. I'm like, I said, what if we do this? Nah, we don't negotiate. All right, he goes, just send me an offer in email form and we'll get back to you. I'm like, okay. So I email him, we'll pay you $3,500, 4-star hotel, and airfare.
Oh,
And he emailed me back like within 2 minutes saying, thanks for the offer, but we're gonna pass. So I'm like, damn, like $15,000. And I emailed him, and one of the people that he manages was the star of The Ritual, the lead actress in The Ritual. And we were paying her 10 grand for like
The
25
entire-
shoot days for 10 grand. So I put that in my email. I said, just to give you an idea, your person that you represent, Jackie Holland, we were giving her $10,000 for a full $4 for 14 days of shooting. And he just, whatever.
So then you don't, now you don't,
So now
you're not going to
now we're not
SAG.
going,
Yeah.
now we're not going union, and we've been throwing around some other crazy things, and
That
we're trying to find someone that has a big following. And,
So you can, right.
yeah.
so, you know, one thing that came up, we're like, so who has a big following that we don't have to go SAG, porn star. So we looked into a couple porn stars, which one of the producers wasn't real keen on. So now
Yeah,
we're
it's
looking
kind of a
at
big problem.
maybe
But I will say
Playboy
this,
model that
like,
has
it's
followers.
I think it's still a good idea because there's some, we got in touch with one manager who manages like 5 or 6 big adult film stars.
But I mean, but it depends what kind of following you want to have in your, for
Well,
the film.
Well,
Like,
that's the thing, is we think that if someone follows one of those people and they're in like a normal movie, they would buy the movie. So that's what we're going off of. Who knows?
Right. I don't, ultimately, I don't care who buys the movie.
Right.
as long as it's bought, as long as you're making money, yeah.
Exactly. But like some of them have like over 1 million Twitter followers. So if,
I mean, but freaking anybody can have over 1 million followers. Like people that do exercise, like fitness people, girls, those girls, the hot girls that take pictures and models. Like so many people have like 1.5. I think the only people that don't is like the people that keep their profile like super private and, you know, like I did until the other day.
I mean, if you had 1 million followers, we'd.
No, I know.
Yeah.
I never, because I kept my profile super private, but after you open it up and you start, you know, if you post, if you're cute and you start posting pictures of yourself,
Right.
then you get a good follow. Like, what I'm saying is you don't have to be a porn star to
Right.
have, like, a huge following.
Which is why we started looking at some Playboy models who also had big followings like that, but
Yeah.
that was kind of shot down too.
So we're still, oh, they shot it out?
They said they can't have a Playboy model in because they think Playboy is porn as well.
So we're
Oh,
stuck.
see,
with-
like, I
we
thought
don't
that
know
would,
what
that's a
movie
better
that opens.
idea.
That's a nice compromise.
Yeah, that's
right?
a nice compromise. I thought that's a
really
nice
the only thing that
compromise.
hasn't
Yeah,
been,
it's
like,
Because a
unfortunate.
Playboy model,
Yeah.
like,
We
there's
have
nothing
two
wrong with that.
notable
Somebody
people that
cute,
are
somebody
really
hot,
good.
somebody who has a
Oh,
big
yeah,
following. There's nothing wrong
Do
with
you
that.
still have the Sean Patrick?
To you,
Flannery
it's
thing?
my
The Ritual, yeah.
Oh,
That's if that movie ever,
Thinking of
I mean, the
Friday.
porn,
they're
the porn
very
one.
close.
And by the way,
But-
Danielle Harris was
Wait,
also in the
what?
Five Finger Death Punch video.
Oh, that's right. she
I
was.
forgot about that.
Yeah.
It just occurred to
Yeah.
me.
Yeah, I mean, she's a star. She's a star in the horror realm, but
Well,
she ain't worth $15,000.
no, and I think the
Come on.
reason why she's, making those demands, because if I don't know if you remember the 25 Years of Terror documentary, and she was talking about, she had some crazy, obsessed fan that like followed her around and would send her letters and basically said to her like in some like letter or something like if you don't come with me after the convention, then the shit's really gonna hit the fan. I'm gonna have to get my dad involved.
Oh my
like
God.
just stuff like that.
I don't know, man. Like that's
Comes with the territory.
yeah, that's the story. So, in a nutshell, try to learn how to do everything, and that way you can do it yourself because it'll be done the way you want it. Do it. Learn how to get better from it. Surround yourself with better people than you, people that know what they're doing.
Yeah,
And,
absolutely.
once you get to a point, I mean, you can make movies for dirt cheap
Yeah.
until you build a reputation of getting things done, giving quality work, and then find people that are going to take a chance on you.
Yeah.
Do you want to be a filmmaker? Is that like you want to be a director? Or
Yeah, I mean, justice. I mean, yeah,
are you wanting to make movies? Are you an
Yeah.
actor? Or
director
do you want to be a director and producer?
Actually, I've been doing that since Nigeria, since '84. I've been doing that. And I was an actress, because I just want to know how to be more involved in the movie. So
Right.
that's why I went to school, because I already got my master's before, but because of my passion, that's why I came to filmmaking.
Right.
And I'm enjoying it, but I still want to get more
How long have you
experience.
lived here?
8 years.
8 years?
So I just want to have more experience, because the way we do things in Nigeria is quite different from here. So learning through the school, I was able to realize a lot of differences in there. Even though the film industry in Nigeria is very, very high now, they're very good, they have good experience and everything, but I decided to come out here because as an actress in Nigeria, if you're popular, wherever you go, it's just like the celebrity, they won't allow you to do things. So that's why I left there.
Right.
So that I'll be able to have my life to myself. So it's having more experience now. I still want to learn to be a good director, a good producer.
Right.
So that's why I started. There was a time I emailed you through Justin. I don't know.
Do what?
There was a time I emailed you through Justin.
Yeah. I got you. You sent your
Okay.
resume and stuff. Yeah, I got it.
So I'm still looking forward for that. I want to get more experience, just to have more experience.
Right. I mean, the thing is where we live in our time and what's going on in the world. Like, it's hard to find some guy that's making a movie and say, "Hey, I want to direct your movie." It doesn't work like that. You have to make your own stuff.
Yeah,
Until you
like
can
you
build-
already
basically
know that
have
we should know everything.
Make a resume.
Yeah.
until you
Everybody
can
wants to
build
do
up
it.
a reputation and get somebody to take a chance on you and give you $1 million to make a big budget movie.
Yeah.
Classic example, there's a guy named Mike Flanagan. And Mike Flanagan made a movie called Absentia, and it's on Netflix. If you haven't watched it, watch it. He had a $70,000 budget on that movie. And that film got him $3 million to direct Oculus. You see Oculus?
I've heard of it. I haven't seen it though.
So it was a $3 million movie, and it made like $50–60 million at the theaters. Like, it was a pretty cool movie. And so he raised $70,000. He made this movie in his apartment, Absentia, and it's one of those movies that's just eerie. It sucks you in, but there's really not a lot happening.
Yeah.
And I love that movie.
Suspenseful.
Yeah, real suspenseful. It's a really cool movie, and he just did it with like 3 or 4 people, 2 locations. He had a house in a tunnel. That was his locations.
Wow.
And that movie led to him getting, he does big budget stuff now. He's doing a movie, he's doing something like I think he's remaking something that's pretty big. So, and this guy's like us, you know? Like basically what we're getting on Crazy Lake is what this guy had to use. And our movie's gonna look way better than Absentia.
Yeah.
Like, you know, the production quality was, it had some cool monster special effects and stuff like that, but for the most part, it was a pretty simple movie. I think I could have made that movie for like $1,000.
Yeah.
I'm not even kidding. And he spent $70,000 on it. So if you have Netflix, watch it.
Did you hear about that film, the Bouquet of Blood?
Oh yeah, we
Yes.
premiered it at the Florida Horror Festival.
You hear that it also got into Phil Anselmo's festival in Texas? Yeah, House Score.
Dude, that movie's blowing up. That movie has a huge following.
I know it does.
Actually, one of the killers in that movie, we were trying to get for Crazy Lake to play the killer.
Yeah,
his
was it
name's,
the guy that's also a rapper too? 8?
Yeah, 8.
Yeah, because
So I
one
actually
of my
just
friends, his girlfriend, plays one of the victims in the movie that is being, cut up.
Yeah. But yeah, we were trying to get him on board, and he had lost a lot of weight, and he wanted that big bulky look that he had, and not gonna work.
Yeah.
So Mike Flanagan's doing Gerald's Game, which is a Stephen King book.
I remember that. I mean, I remember the book.
So, he made a movie that hit, it's hot luck sometimes, but skill too, you know?
Oh, absolutely. Skill has a lot to do with it.
So we feel pretty good about Crazy Lake that, our goal is to sell 100,000 DVDs. That's our goal.
Yeah.
Is it realistic? Who knows? I mean, if we get the right marketing thing going, that's the thing is you can make the greatest movie ever made, but if no one knows it's out there, then
Exactly. Same thing with albums.
so we feel like a cool cover, DVD cover, cool trailer, and a good marketing plan is going to get us our goal. So that's what we're hoping for.
We're gonna have to cut out because I gotta go back to Plant City. Pick some stuff up from my mom. She bought me some food.
Yeah.
Good. Before she goes to bed.
Appreciate you coming out.
Absolutely.
I found it informative.
Huh?
I found it informative.
Did you? Good. I hope you guys learned.
Yeah, absolutely.
I know you guys learned something on the back here. I know you guys learned something on the last one we worked on, so
Yeah.
I can't wait to see the new one you made.
Oh yeah, it's the production value is a
Yeah.
lot better too. Like especially using the Canon what's CT, yeah,
That's okay.
yeah, yeah. So it's
We got a different microphone now for the sound, so it's not.
we're really proud of it.
Cool.
It's gonna be excellent.
Unless something crazy happens, I'll be there.
All right.
So, all right, man. Thanks.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Thank you, man. Yeah, what's the name of your guys' movie? The new one?
Creek County.
Creek County, and it's a follow-up to the Rock Bottom Creek.
Yeah, that's a short. How much? You said 30-something minutes?
About 33 minutes.
That's awesome.
So they're showing at the Tampa Picture Show at the end of the month, right? Doing a double feature.
Yeah.
The double bill.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
told them that it was just, it's like an addendum to Rock Bottom Creek, so.
So they're gonna show both? That's cool.
Is it free? Like they're showing it for free?
I don't know, Steve's doing all the legwork. Weirdly enough, after, my stuff hit the skids, everybody else picked up more responsibility instead
Right.
of picking up more
Funny how that
responsibility
happened, right?
beforehand. But so he's handled all that. So.
Yeah, I think the Tampa Picture Show, if you show up before 5 o'clock or something, they don't charge you. But they
Yeah,
keep
it's
all the,
supposed to be.
but you can't make money at it. Like, it's a weird deal with them. I'm not a big fan of them,
Yeah.
the Tampa Picture Show, but
It was just
kind of,
easier.
Yeah, just basically
I think
for
he knows.
exposure
It was easier than going back with them since they've changed their.
talk to
policy.
this, rent this place out, talk to them.
Dude,
Dude, I've had 2 film festivals here.
Uh,
Yeah, I'll give you his info, you can talk to him. I'll show it here.
Yeah, it's-
That way you can make a little bit of money, you know? So, try to make some of your budget back.
All right.
So do you guys have any questions? Or, I know you guys have tons of questions.
I've already asked all the questions while you were talking.
Yeah?
I forget, so
It makes you like not want to make a movie, right?
no.
Because you're gonna lose all your relationships, you're gonna lose your friends, you're gonna have no life.
No, it's just interesting to hear.
You want to be a filmmaker?
No, I just want to, I want to learn more about.
Oh, okay.
She's an
about
actress, she
making
wants to know what's
movies
going on
and-
behind the
What
scenes.
goes on behind the scenes.
So I pretty much learned all of his biography and what he did
Just tips.
from
and
beginning till end.
Stuff.
Yeah.
So it's good. It was good.
That's a good thing. When you have the passion, you're able to have more interest and efficiency. I believe that.
It's been a long road.
Eh?
I said it's been a long road.
Oh,
It's been
yeah.
a long 5 years. And
Lot of things.
a lot of hard work, a lot of
Also,
time.
yeah.
I mean, I'm on my computer all day long. Like that's,
Okay, as a director, what are your responsibilities?
what's my responsibility?
I know you must be able to know everything.
Like
That's
I
what he was
said,
saying,
my
babysitting
responsibility is
and problem
babysit
solving.
and problem solve. I mean, that's really it.
I wrote
No,
it
what
down.
I mean is,
You gotta make sure that,
if somebody is maybe wants to ask you to do a director for a particular film, what is going to be your job? I know you're going to be the overseer of everything.
to direct, like for instance, Crazy Lake, my movie now, everybody's doing everything for me.
Okay.
So I just have to walk on set, make sure everything's technically
That's
right.
And he decides
That's why I
Make
think
sure-
know everything.
Make sure my cast is giving a great performance. Make sure that
You have the best
everything's
of the
running.
best.
I mean, it's
Chris, as
it's
a
a
director,
babysitter.
you
Right?
don't.
You got to make sure that everything is running the way you want it to run. You know.
And that's what makes the
At
good
some
like that.
point,
You must know everything.
at some point, the thing is all the people working on the movie. Okay, you have the director's vision. Okay, and what's good is me and Jason are co-directing this, and he wrote the script.
Okay.
And I kind of wrote the script too, so we kind of are on the same page
So you understand
to know what we want. So that's our vision of what this movie is going to be. Now we have to get everybody in the crew
To follow you.
on board, and the cast on board to relay our vision
Okay.
onto the screen.
Okay.
So, at some point we'll meet with our camera guy and we'll tell him, hey, this is what we want the movie to look like. These are some shots we want to get. But for the most part, Brandon is a pretty good DP. So we're
Do you
going to
normally do
kind of leave
storyboard?
him, we're going to kind of let him, spread his wings and give some
I
input
think
into
what she was
what we're
trying
going
to
to
ask
shoot.
is if you,
No,
for example, as
she
a
didn't.
director.
No. I was asking, is it compulsory you have to do storyboard for every screen?
I have never, ever.
And because you did.
Well, listen,
story-
I've shot probably 15 movies and 3 features.
I know it's because
I've
of.
never used a shot list or a storyboard,
Okay.
which is totally ridiculous because
That is
we're-
it. That's
Yeah,
what
that
we're
is-
going to on Crazy Lake,
Yeah,
and I,
that is the crazy thing because the way I like to do it is I get on set, I look at everything, I talk to the director, what exactly he's looking for,
your shots.
and I'm like, well, what if we do this? And that's me as a camera guy, okay? Me as a director, again, I talk to my camera guy, I'm like, well, what do you think about doing this shot? Or he'll
Okay.
tell me, what do you think about doing
Well,
this
you
shot?
have your shots
And
in
we'll
mind.
figure out what we want to
Okay.
do on set. But, a bigger budget movie, we got to be a
You
little
need
more
the story.
prepared because now we have grips, gaffers, unit production managers, script supervisors, assistant directors, 2
everybody has his
directors,
own job.
cast. that we have to all these people got to know exactly what we're
What you're
doing.
talking about, yeah.
So they're going to know before the production what every shot is. So they can prepare.
And you have more time to focus.
They'll know
on
what lights they
you're
need. They'll know what lights they need for every scene. They're going to know everything before we even get to the cabin.
Yeah.
So, you know, that's the difference between a bigger budget film and a micro
I
budget.
I mean, that's not something that costs you money though.
Yeah, it doesn't cost
Something
you.
you can always do.
You can do, it's just the extra work you gotta put in.
Right.
And what that does is it saves you time.
Saves you time on set,
And
which we have 14 days at that cabin to shoot a 90-minute movie. So that's,
Pretty a lot of
you
pressure.
have to hustle.
So as
we
a
gotta
new-
be
If
like,
you know more of it,
on
you'll be
point.
able to do faster things, yeah.
everybody's got to be on point and know exactly what's happening.
That's cool.
Like, I storyboarded, I had a scene that was that used a street where there was traffic happening. And so I storyboarded that particularly because like, we don't have time to figure things out and this is exactly what we need and we have to go. So for something like that, storyboarding is good. If it's a technical, like kind of a crazy scene.
Yeah, it will make it faster.
Yeah.
Yeah, it makes things faster. And I've made shot lists before and never even took it out of the bag.
If because you go to the school.
You know, it's just,
But if you go to school, automatically they have to teach you.
right. Because,
They taught us everything.
The other thing-
They taught us everything.
right, the other thing with you know, making a small budget film is you basically have 3 movies. You have your script, you have the movie you shoot, and then you have the movie that's edited. So they're, from beginning to end is completely different. Like,
Different. Yeah.
there's so many things that out of
So many things.
Die Delta Pi, there's so many things we cut out that we just couldn't do it, you know. And you know, the thing I learned from that was, well, I think we need the script to be changed to know exactly what we're shooting on set instead of sitting there on set trying to figure out how to change something, you know. And we did that a few times, and it ended up we were there for 15 hours one night shooting a movie, and nobody wants to be on set for 15 hours or 18 hours, whatever. So, you know, that's one thing that I'm trying to get better at is being more prepared going on set, getting out of just bringing the camera and kind of figuring out what I want to shoot and stuff like that. So it's, again, it's a process, it's a learning thing to make yourself a better filmmaker. And, you know, once you get into your big budget stuff, then now you're a director, you're a producer, you're not a filmmaker anymore. You know, to me, a filmmaker means someone that does everything. They put everything together to make a film. But again, it's good to learn everything, editing, sound, everything. That way you know.
Nobody's your area, sound. Every other thing.
He's the sound guy.
Yeah, the sound guy.
But I mean, I
He's
edit,
really
I write,
good at it.
I
He edits sound and he edits sound and
Do you have
cleans
a
it up and adds
What?
Do you
stuff.
have a card?
No, too busy.
You should have
Yeah, he's too busy to promote himself.
I don't want any more work.
You should have one.
No, I get like the last few months I've made like $4,000 and I've just been so
For
per
what?
month. What?
For what? For
For-
printing cards?
For no. I'm so busy. Like I have too many jobs.
Oh, okay.
That
He doesn't
I
want
wouldn't.
any
If
more
I had a
work.
card, I wouldn't give it out
There's a
because
situation, you know, you don't want
Right,
anyone.
yeah. He's
You're
a pretty
busy.
busy guy. So
Yeah.
he works on commercials and
That's good.
movies and all kinds of stuff.
That's a good thing you have decided to do. It's not so common.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yeah, that's fine.
There's
It's not-
not a lot of sound people.
Yeah.
You
I don't
know,
wanna-
if you want your production to be good, you have to do good sound.
sure.
So
But I
people
don't
make
want to
people-
be. I don't want to be a sound guy. Is the thing. It's like I'm a filmmaker and a movie maker. This is how I make money, and now I'm directing a movie because of I've done sound. So it's just how you get to. That's how he got
That's
to
how
where
I
he
am.
is.
I'm like, I do camera, but
Right.
I want to be a director. I don't want to be a camera guy. But that's how I pay my
I know how to
bills.
do camera, I know editing, I know everything a director should know, you know, but I really want to focus on directing. I'm not so much interested in camera or
Right.
editing, but I have to do it.
Right.
I edit my
But
films.
again, the problem now is you can't make money as a director. It's impossible.
So that's why you have to
So-
learn other things.
Again, so now I do camera to
I
make
do
a
camera
living,
too.
to pay
So I
my
guess
bills.
that was my question, which I was
Until,
been trying to fit in.
until I'm making money as a director, I
Uh-huh.
have to do this other thing.
What's the difference between a director, which is what you're going to do now that you have everybody, you have somebody running the camera,
That's
Because I always thought the director of photography was the same thing as the
No,
director.
no, no,
Like
no.
the director.
Director of
Director
photography, that
oversees
is
the
the
entire
camera.
production. The director of photography is basically camera. He
Camera.
does
So
the
you-
shots. And a lot of the times, the director of photography doesn't even touch the camera.
Do you
They
tell
have
him what
camera
shots you
operators.
want though? As a director
We
tells him?
collaborate. Like before we even go to shooting, we'll sit down, we'll make
That's
a
the
shot
first
list.
question I asked.
The director works with the director
You
of
have to work with
photography. Basically, I have to tell my camera guy, look, this is my vision. This is what I want the movie to look like. These are shots I want to get. You know, when we're doing this scene, I want it to look like this. I want this shot, this shot, this shot. But ultimately, he's going to be in charge of putting my vision into the
Into
camera,
the
I
camera,
guess.
yeah, into
So
vision.
I have to do the best job possible to relay what I have in my head to hit into his head so he knows how to shoot it.
The director's kind of like the visionary
Yes.
of the whole thing.
Yeah,
The
he's the
director
master of
Is the visionary, he oversees the production. That's why when you look at a movie and it says a blah 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 film,
Maybe
Quentin
when you're
Tarantino.
acting, the
Yeah,
director will be the one to say
Quentin
no,
Tarantino
cut.
Right.
that
Do
is
it
the
again.
director.
Because
That
it's
is
not
his vision.
satisfying.
Brandon Hyde sent me a text last week saying, what movies should I watch for visual style for Crazy Lake? And I sent him a list of movies to check out so that he had an idea for when we go
Of
on
the
set.
style that you guys want.
There's
Right.
all kinds of styles. I mean,
Yeah, it's true.
crazy stuff.
That movie, I just recently went to see the movie that Johnny Depp did, that comedy. It's a brand new movie.
Oh, with them with the mustaches?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the style that movie's shot in, I mean, it's a comedy and it's like old fashioned. It's kind of like a Pink
Where's
Panther
the original?
kind of like style, and all the shots and
Really,
the
really-
way the music. I mean, everything in the way the movie, all the bright colors. Like there's so many bright colors and stuff. It makes you feel like, oh my God, they really probably thought about this before.
Oh yeah.
If you think about it, the camera can make the movie look depressing, it can make it look happy, it can make it look all different ways. You know, if you look at like a movie called did you ever see Seven with Brad Pitt and Gwyneth Paltrow? Like that movie is
I think
just
I did.
depressing and scary and just like, you just want to kill yourself after you watch it because it's so down. But it's such a great movie. And then you got a movie like The Wizard of Oz, which is a happy movie, and you know, you feel good about it, you know. And it's all the way it's shot and the colors popping out in The Wizard of Oz, and Seven's just rainy and dark and dreary. The Batman movies, the new ones, they're all dark and
Yeah.
eerie.
Blue
you know?
Valentine. I feel like that entire movie was shot like with this like dark kind
Yeah, it was. So
of. It's crazy.
the camera can do a lot. Sound can do a lot. Music
Yeah.
can make the movie different. They did a thing where they had two movie clips and they were the same and they changed the music. And one was like they made a comedy look like a horror movie by putting in crazy music. And it's like-
Really?
it's pretty crazy how little elements can change something, totally change it, you know. It's pretty neat. So, I don't know, hopefully everybody makes a kick-ass movie.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time, Chris.
Thank you for
And
coming.
congratulations on everything you guys are doing.
Thank you.
I'm really excited.
Good year.
It's been a good year.
Yeah.
So far.
It's just starting, yeah.
February.
That's it.